All right, all right, all right. Welcome back, all you beautiful people. Welcome back to the cafe. Great to have you back tonight. Tonight, y'all, we're looking into all of this crazy stuff that's come out recently. All these Dateline accusations, fact versus fiction, and how it's going to affect the case. If it affects the case, will it affect the case? And all these lies and accusations and dramatized statements and all this stuff. We're talking about that tonight, guys. So come on in, share this out. Make sure you let everybody know what we're doing tonight. And make sure you hit that like button on the way through the door, if you will, please and thank you. And I can't wait to get into this combo. Here we go. Here we go. Sorry about that, y'all. Welcome back, guys. Great to see you tonight. And thank you for joining us tonight here at the True Crime Cafe. It's great to see you guys again. For those of you that were here earlier for the morning show, thank you for joining us once again. Thank you for being here then. Thank you for being here, period. I appreciate everybody here at the sports channel. It is great to be here with y'all. Again, like I said, we're jumping back into the University of Idaho murders. And lately there's been a lot of stuff dropped via Dateline and stuff like that they've been putting out, and some of it is so crazy, and it's nuts. So we're here to talk about that, break that down, and whatever else our conversation goes to at some point. I'm sure we'll be talking about that as well. But all of those statements, those comments, every bit of that stuff, we're going to review a couple things possibly with it to be able to refer to for that as well. There was a video that Ashley Banfield put out where she hit on all these bullet points, and it was just insane to me. So we showed it this morning on the morning show as well. So we're probably going to review that for those of you that haven't seen it, and whatever else we dip into. I appreciate you guys joining us for this. Please make sure to hit the like button when you come through that door, and share this out. Tell your friends what we're talking about in here tonight, and have them stop on by and join us as well. We got plenty of room, folks. Please and thank ya. And come on in, grab a seat. Give me just a moment here, guys. I'm going to ask you to hold for a minute while I grab something. I'll be right back with you. All right, all right. Thank you guys for your patience. Come on in, everybody, grab a seat. Let's see. What do we be having here? Who's in the house with us? Miss Angel D. Welcome back. Or Raquel. Oh, well, good to see you tonight. Men's for Kittens, welcome back. The SRBBBBB, welcome back to you. Miss Christina, thank you for joining us tonight. Alicia J, welcome back to you. The lovely Miss Wisdom Speaks, great to see you. Let me see. I don't think there's any new docs, Angel. If there are, we'll look at those too. Jaded 847, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Let's see here. Doc's in the house. Welcome back, Doc. Thank you for joining us. What do we got coming up here? Thank you, SRB, so very much. One Maiden Nut, Eddie's in the house. Welcome back, Eddie. Good to see you. Maybe we'll hear from him tonight. Miss Rach, welcome back to you. Miss Tara, hello and welcome. Miss Tandy, welcome back to you. The Seahawks fan, great to see you. The last call in the house. Mikey, what's up, brother? Good to see you here tonight. Thank you for joining us. Probably too late for Jesse, sadly. Actually, it's probably about 8 o'clock in the morning for Jesse. He might be working. Miss Sherry, welcome back. Great to see you as well. Swiper, no swiping. Oh, here we go. Doing the Dora stuff. Come on in, guys. Grab a seat. Get comfortable. We have people from everywhere. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to you, wherever you are, whoever you are. I hope it's good for you because it's great to be here with you tonight, guys. Appreciate you guys so much. Bobby X, welcome back, my friend. Fizzy Cakes, great to see you tonight. Miss Paula, always an honor and a pleasure. Great to see you tonight. Mountain Mama, welcome back to you. Lisa Wilson, wonderful to have you back. Great to see you. There was no music. I'm sorry. I don't know why. Good Trouble. Hello and welcome. Good to see you. Dagburn, Johnny Gobbles, Dead Floozy Mama's in the house. Great to see you tonight. There's no music, huh? That's weird. Gianna Gambino's in the house. Good to see you, Miss Gianna. Thank you for joining us. Walt Harris, welcome back, bro. Scott Metalhead, welcome back, my friend. Good to see you. Jaded, I saw you. Miss Charlotte's in the house tonight. Great to see you. RT Traveler, welcome back. Great to have you. Great to see you. Detective Mowry's joining us tonight, guys. Great to see you, Mowry. Thank you for being here. Speaking of detectives, y'all, I'm addicted to another show. I've been binge watching Chicago PD now. I got through all this Chicago Fire. Now it's Chicago PD. Another great show. Another great show. If you don't watch it, you should check it out if you can. Miss Denise, welcome back. Great to see you. 86 peeps in the house, 51 likes. Come on, y'all, please. And thank you. Hit that like button. Phenomenon, thank you for joining us. Again, SRB, thank you, guys. Anybody that chooses to support our channel via this, the Amazon stuff here, guys, we don't expect any of that. You guys know that. I say it all the time. But I am greatly appreciative. The stuff that's there is stuff that helps me to run the channel. Technical stuff that I would need to keep the equipment running, and of course coffee. So anybody that chooses to do that, you don't ever have to, guys. Please don't think you do, but I do appreciate it so very much if you do, and if you should choose to. God bless and thank you. Lisa Vallejo, it's been a while. Good to see you. Did you see Criminals Mindy? I don't know what you're talking about, Lisa. That's if it's a show, I'd like to know because I love those shows. Criminal Minds? Are you saying Criminal Minds? Did they start a new season? Oh, shoot. I love that show. No, I didn't. So now I'm going to be looking for that. Thank you so much for the heads up, Lisa. Appreciate that. No Hellboy Fire Crown. Nope. I got my fish. I could change that, though. I will be checking that out for sure. I love Criminal Minds. Loved it. Come on in, everybody. Grab a seat. Get comfortable so we can get this a rolling. Let me go ahead and pin this now and get that over with. I'm going to go ahead and pin the link in the top of the chat again. Also, there should be some new stuff that we'll be putting in soon for anybody interested in merchandise in our print shop or the True Crime Cafe merchandise shop, whatever you call it. There should be some new stuff coming up pretty soon. If anybody's interested and wants any of that stuff, we will be working on that here shortly. New t-shirts, new stuff. Started already. Hey. One of the first things we're going to do is review this video again, and then we're going to hit points within that video. I have some bullet points put down here that things we're going to be talking about are the Google searches, the Ted Bundy issue, the car and that video for the car, and quite a few other things, not to mention people admitting to doing things that they shouldn't be doing to these pictures and videos and stuff, which is quite interesting to me because it doesn't help the situation, nor does it help somebody get a fair trial. Yes, it was a Googling spree. A Googling spree. That's how they called. That's what they called it. It was ridiculous. Yes, of course, you can get your Walt Harris t-shirt in there too. Thank you, guys. And there's a link to the lovely Miss Wisdom's channel, guys. Please check it out. She does so much for the missing indigenous. Please support her if you can, if you have not yet. And guys, we do have a Facebook. If you want to join and follow our Facebook page, please do. Miss Wisdom does handle that and does a great job with it. So go check that out and follow if you want to keep up with our Facebook page. And of course, we can't forget the last 24, Mikey's channel. You need to support that channel as well. There's some great stuff coming out over there. Please show some love and support over there for Mikey if you can. We do appreciate you so much for that. Thank you again, SRB. Come on in, everybody. Grab a seat. Get comfortable. Let's see here. It is great to see you all again. And I appreciate you guys supporting us in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Why did that turn off? What's up with this? What's up with this? What did I do? What the hell? I don't even know how to turn this on, guys. How did I turn it off? I thought it just stayed on all the time. My keyboard went off. My light went off. And I can't see my keys now. What in the holy hell? Oh no, what's going on here? What's going on here? What did it do? What did it do? Did I turn it off back here somehow? Bear with me, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm not the smartest or brightest crayon in the box. Sometimes I hit things I shouldn't. Come on. What did I do? Did I bump something? What did it do? Bear with me, guys. Thank you for your patience. What a fool. What a fool I are. Yes, please stand by, folks. Just a minute. Welcome, Sarge. Bear with me. I'm trying to get this thing back together.
Did you knock Humpty Dumpty over again?
No, it was I don't know what happened. I lost power to my keyboard.
Right.
But no idea how that happened, but all the power. I lost power to a bunch of somethings.
You got problems with wires. We already know that, bro.
Yes, I do. I'm a dingbat.
It's not that you're a dingbat.
Oh, no, I'm a dingbat with some of this stuff. That's a fact.
Oh, okay. Well,
I just don't understand what.
Maybe a Dagobat.
Yes, there you go.
Right?
That's
like them tires, right?
I always have some kind of flipping technical issue going.
My computer's 15 years old. I only had to shut it off because I had a bad power supply and then I had bad memory. But it's been on pretty much its whole 15 years. I never turn it off. What is it? Well, he's on mute. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, step right up. We too will allege you committed murders. I listen to 3 or 4 streams at the same time, and I put them all on just slightly different volumes, and I let them play across the speakers. And it's quite incredible to do that. 3 is about the best. When you get about above 3, it starts to become too chaotic. It's like sitting in a room with too many conversations going on at once, you know. But with 3 of them, you could derive a lot of data out of 3 different streams.
3 streams, that's a lot.
Yeah. I you stack the windows and then you
I have 3 screens. I could probably run 3 of them per screen or 1 per screen.
You run 3 tabs.
Yeah, so I know what you mean.
Yeah. I was doing that today. I tried 2 before and I liked it, so I bumped it up to 3, and it's pretty good. Right. It's hard to go any further than 3, though.
Right.
You got to switch.
It would be.
Yeah. So I was doing that earlier when I was in your stream when you were talking about those poor missing kids. It just breaks your heart, you know.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Yeah.
Right on here.
What are you trying to figure out, Dago?
Hold on. I was trying to what the hell? I did it again. What did I do this time? Am I bumping something back here?
What are you losing?
My keyboard.
Oh.
My keyboard went out twice now.
Well, is it a wireless keyboard?
No, I'm not that. I don't have that kind of money, sir. Well, I mean, they're not really that expensive.
No,
it's not wireless.
Yeah, I've always kept a wired keyboard anyway, just because they're more reliable.
Well, plus, not to mention, if you lose your
batteries go bad on those stupid wireless ones.
Yep.
Right. That's the biggest throwback. That's why I stay away from wireless keyboards.
Absolutely.
I'd even be happy with a wired mouse, to be honest with you. That drives you nuts.
Well, I have one of each of those because I had the wireless mouse and then the battery go dead and I wasn't prepared and I was stuck. So
yeah, you got to take them out of your remote controls for your TV.
Yep. Keep the wired mouse plugged in and I'm good to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't go wrong there.
I keep a bunch of batteries anyway. Well, there's a commercial on YouTube. I caught a commercial.
Oh Lord!
On your screen, you're commercial. You commercialized you. Yeah, you are a capitalist.
Yeah, I know.
Me too.
What the hell's going on with there? All right, guys, bear with me. I'm going to do something real quick, and I will be right back.
All right. Well,
entertained, Sarge.
Turn the show over to me. All words are permissible.
Yeah, I am not responsible for anything that happens at this point. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh man, listen, you folks. How many of you folks have listened to that 911 call a few times? Huh? How many of you listened to that 911 phone call a few times? Don't you like when the operator tells them she wants to know what's going on right now? and they got to go and check. Let me ask you all a question, folks, because this is a pretty good observation. I forget who I heard it from, but it's kind of a mind-blowing observation. If the 911 operator tells you got to go check, my question is, why did you call 911? Right? Well, what's going on here? Something prompted you to call 911, yet you don't know until 911 tells you to go check. And then you go check, and now you know? How could that be real? That's just off the freaking wall. All operators do this. No, listen to the call and try to make that make sense. Come on now. Listen to the 911 call. Come on, guys. We got to go check. Uh-oh. Dago dropped. We're short a day, and he go. Dago. I guess he's gone. That's his name. Dago. Dago here. Dago there. Yeah, what triggered the actual call? Come on, folks. Listen to that call. Come on, guys. We got to go check. What do you mean you got to go check? It's the way it goes, she says. Yeah, okay. Always excuses for the people that are hanging around the 4 dead bodies. They're just out front chilling. They're sipping tequila and they're smoking ganja. They're just chilling. That is weird, isn't it, SRB? Yeah. There's a lot of weird things that have happened. What's more crazier is that you're in a house with 4 dead bodies. The smell had to be horrendous. Well, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even want to get into that. You don't want to start going down the road of smells because, yeah, it'll get gross. We don't want to do that. It's not my stream, so I got to be careful, out of respect for the day. Go. Day go here. Day go there. Day go trying to go everywhere. Don't fault the damn dispatcher. I'm not faulting the damn dispatcher. How did you get that from what I said, Jade? Come on now. I'm not faulting the dispatcher. Didn't you hear what I said? What prompted you to call 911 to begin with if it takes the dispatcher to tell you to go check on these people? Isn't your observation of those people why you called 911? You understand now? Come on now. Do you understand the point, Jade? Come on, be nice.
I'm back.
Were you following what I said, Dago?
I couldn't hear anything you said. I had to reset.
So they call 911, and then the 911 operator wants to know what's going on. And so Dylan says, come on, guys, we got to go check. She just told us to go check.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why did she call 911 then?
Yeah, I know.
That don't make no sense.
It's all part of the game, Sarge. It's insane.
So, you got 4 dead bodies in the house. You call 911, but 911 is asking you what's going on and then tells you to go check because you act like you don't know what's going on.
Right.
That don't make no damn sense.
It's a mess.
And then you go check and you put on this parade, that you put on this charade of going to check, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you come back.
Yeah, they did
Is she
it twice.
breathing? Is she breathing? No, it looks like she's got like a leak. I think all her blood's on the floor is what probably should have been said, right? And wasn't.
Yeah, and it's amazing that they didn't bring up any blood. There's blood everywhere.
Right.
They didn't bring up Ethan on the bed. They didn't bring up any of that. They just said she's passed out. We don't know if she's breathing, and then said she's not. After they were in there once already, knowing she wasn't breathing.
Right.
It's insane.
And the whole. No, I wasn't faulting the dispatcher, Jaded. I was pointing to the actions of those that were there before, during, and after the crime. The same people that were put in a communal hotel room and allowed to interact with one another. The same people that pretended they were going to check on people that they had to already have known were deceased before they ever called 911.
Right.
Yeah, I've made 911 calls. Who hasn't made 911 calls? But I'm not faulting the 911 operator.
No, it wasn't the 911 operator's fault, in my opinion.
No, I don't even fault the operator for asking for a defibrillator because she didn't know what was going on either. Right? I mean, there was.
They weren't given the right story.
And they're passing the phone around to 4 different people. That's not how a 911 call is to be handled.
Not at all.
Yeah, so no, I don't fault the 911 operator at all.
No, that was a joke. That whole thing was, it was so fake. Well, I'm not gonna say fake, but it was horrible. Whatever they did was horror. It was just the way they did it was horrifying. And then again, there he is. What's up, Eddie? Good to see you,
Good to
buddy.
see you again. Hi,
There
Sergeant.
again,
That's
in the
Largo.
background, you don't hear any sirens coming whatsoever. So once again, just the really bad actors. Agreed, Raquel. Anyway, sorry,
You
guys.
didn't even hear a car door close when the cop pulled up, did you?
No, and in that again, it's all part of the act. In my
Right,
opinion,
right.
but you can hear. It's funny because I don't know if you picked it up, Sarge, but you can hear what sounds like portable radio traffic in like 4 different times in the midst of the call before anybody ever supposedly got there. That's crazy to me. So, yeah, I have a lot of questions about that whole mess. I'll just be honest.
I like how they're taking normal interactions of Brian in his day, but
That's what we're talking about.
and trying to poison the public. Now, Alana made the point, and I think she's right, that none of this stuff is going to be part of the trial.
No, it's all
And
about
they're-
propaganda.
Well, here's the crucial thing, though, and this can be a problem. It's evidence, it's information collected that's not admissible at trial, okay?
Right.
Because it's not relevant, his interaction with that girl. Whether he went in her apartment or didn't go in her apartment, whether he put cameras in or didn't put cameras in, that he got a phone number from a girl, none of that is relevant to the crime charged. But it was information collected that's being dumped in the Dateline to poison the public. That's a problem.
Right. I can agree.
Right? What do you think of that there, Eddie?
What I think about it is this. And I've said this many times before. None of them believe that what they are saying is true. They know it's rubbish. And who knows what they truly believe about the case. I suspect that they believe that he's innocent. The media has a way of pushing a narrative, and there is a certain mechanism that enables the media to push whatever narrative it is that they want. They are bad actors, of course, but they're good actors. I mean, watch Ashley Banfield. And I mean, my hat's off to her. She does a great job of sitting there and telling that story, but you can tell that it's insincere. Now, prior discussions, I've tried to describe it as like, okay, how do you know that she's being insincere and what she knows that what she's saying is false? It's because if her life depended on it, like a wartime spy, she would not act like that, because a spy's cover is their life. And if you do anything to make yourself known, and what she's doing would make herself known, acting that ridiculous, that would end the spy's life. They would disappear forever. So to add to that, I would say at this point, it doesn't matter what people believe, whether all this ridiculousness that we're hearing is believed by the people that are listening to this rubbish. At this point, it is about making it uncomfortable and unsafe for anyone who falls out of line to believing the narrative. Now, this is probably not the right channel for this, and I'm not saying that it's ever happened in our country or in the world where the minority who control the media have the ability to make everyone do something and get their get whatever it is that they're trying to achieve, accomplish. But if it did happen, what we would see is everyone would be forced to conform. And if you did not conform, they would have a way of identifying you. I don't know, maybe it'd be something that you put on or wear. Who knows?
Right.
But at this point, it's going to be where the jury is just going to be unable to find him anything but guilty, because their very lives may depend on may depend on it, or their families.
I think really a lot of what they showed in that, I didn't watch it. And all full disclosure, I refuse to watch stuff like that because most of the time there's nothing revealing in there that's going to do anything except propagandize what the government wants propagandized. And when I the pieces and the parts that I have seen don't change my view of what happened. And nor do they change my view of this. There's still no evidence beyond a reasonable doubt to prove this man guilty. There's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of interpreting or telling you, such as Brian getting the phone number is creepy. But you didn't notice Brian texting the girl 25 times after she didn't text him back, did you? That's creepy. Engaging with a woman and then trying to follow up and not getting a response, the proper etiquette is to let it go. And he did that, right? So there's nothing in any of that documentary from the little bit of exposure I've had that says to me that Brian did anything inappropriate in his interactions with women. It just isn't. There's innuendo, there's the accusation, there's the framework of making him look like a creepy dude, but his hoodie and the other, nothing that I see is going to implicate, nor I think any of that can be used at trial anyway. And that's why they're dumping it on the public, because they want the public to see this guy in a certain way so that when they get their jury, they got a jury of 12 hangmen or executioners instead of a jury of his peers.
Yeah, they have a way of twisting anything that is good will be made to look bad for him. He went on this Googling spree. He Googled the Idaho 4 case on the 16th of November. Well, imagine if he never Googled it, what they would say about it.
Well, people are claiming he did it that same day. Is that factual or no?
No, I think she said it was the 16th of November in the morning when he Googled it.
So 3 days after the crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if he Googled it, listen, you know how many times I've Googled the Idaho 4? I've Googled for the names of the victims, or I've Googled. And this is going back when I first got involved in February of 2023, when I first even got tied to even got involved with true crime stuff. So, none of that is unusual. And anybody that comes into these particular streams in true crime is going to hold Brian to a standard that they themselves committed no crime by doing what they did. In other words, that still doesn't pass the reasonable doubt. Him looking up that crime. And then even when he points out when he was pulled over in Indiana, did you hear about the shooting in Washington? None of that's unusual either, because these colleges got internal communication systems among the students that you and I aren't part of. I forget, there's a specific app that they have at colleges that kids use that keep all the intercommunications between the kids. It's like a separate app, like Snapchat, but it isn't Snapchat, it's something else. So I don't know. I don't, like I said, in full disclosure, there's nothing that I've seen or been made aware of through what was released by that crazy. I wouldn't listen to that news show. That, I don't know. Was there anything in there that put a question in your mind, Eddie? I
didn't watch any of them. If you're talking about the Dateline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of that, other than the little segments that we might have covered on this channel.
Yeah,
it's all ridiculous. I don't think it's worth my time to watch the entire thing, beginning to end.
No, I don't either. I don't need to be.
I didn't even watch the Dateline thing, but everybody else did and put things out about it. The video we're going to look at and talk about here in a minute, there's a reason why we're pulling this up here and talking about it, because all these things, I made little bullet points about this. I was taking notes and stuff, believe that or not. I feel like Eddie right now. And all these things, I want to point these things out to everybody, the lengths that they have gone through to get to this point, to do this. It's insane. Sorry to interrupt you guys if you were talking. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, see, that Steve G keeps coming out making stories. It was him that said he did it the day of the crime. That's where I heard that, from a Steve G interview. Thank you, I am me, but I'm not you. So, yeah.
Welcome, Julianne. Good to see you. And anybody I may have missed, thank you guys for joining us. Please make sure to hit the like button on the way through the door. Welcome, Linda Robinson. I am me, Mama Tan, Cat Lover, Musical Contessa, Miss Rach, I think I caught Be Real. I think I caught all you guys. If I didn't, I will catch up with you.
By the way, before we begin, I just want to kind of tie in that, the public sentiment or the pressure that is going to be on the jury. It ties right in with what you've been saying, Sergeant, is the judge's own mannerism will communicate to the jury what he expects of them.
Right. I saw a stream. There's a stream title. Miss Potts or Kathy or one of them was talking about maybe another request for another judge or another venue. May be coming, and I think that's.
Can you imagine?
I think it should be moved. Yeah, I think it should be. I don't even think there should be a trial. In all fairness, I don't see the evidence.
Take it back to Moscow. See how that goes. I don't think he's going to get a fair trial, no matter where he goes in the state. In my opinion,
give me judge. To be honest with you,
yeah, that was better than where we're at now.
As bad as people thought Judge was, so much has come forward. They never claimed he stalked, but now they want to use his 23 trips to the supermarket as an argument that he stalked him. Now, so in other words, what they said in the prior court that they weren't going to do and weren't implying is now going to be done in trial.
Right.
And Judge wouldn't have allowed that. Wait a minute, we've already concluded there was no stalking. You already said that.
Yep.
Right. So this is why I don't like the chain of venue. Nor, forgetting Hitler's who he is. I really wish this would have stayed with Judge.
Well, I think Ann thought she was doing the right thing by requesting the change of venue because of where it was. It was in Moscow, right in the heart of where this went down. And I get the philosophy behind it, but I did not expect to get, this asshole that we've gotten as a judge to oversee this at this point. And I I tried to play it out. And at the beginning, I thought maybe he's going to be okay. He's going to be fair until I started seeing all this bullshit and him looking like he's going to sleep during the hearings and interrupting the defense and just basically, in a sense, playing favorites. And people say he's not doing it. You're full of shit.
I got a question, and I want to make one specific point. Did the trap and trace come before the arrest or after? So they got warrants for trap and trace, a pen trap and trace, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did that come before the arrest, Eddie, or after? Had to come before.
I wouldn't know that offhand.
It had to have come before. And let me make this point.
I would imagine,
The trap and trace warrant listed the correct times and the correct movements of that vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
The probable cause affidavit listed a different vehicle, different vehicles' movements, and a different time for the phone to stop reporting to the network. The missing 7 minutes was known, and that got ignored by this judge. So your trap and trace warrant correctly stated Brian Koberger's phone went off the air at 2:54 a.m. heading southwest or southeast of Washington. The probable cause affidavit said it went off at 2:47 a.m. heading towards Moscow. So the police had in their possession the correct movements of the vehicle, but they did not put it in the arrest warrant. They put in a vehicle and the time of the phone being turned off that were completely wrong. And there's no reason for that other than deception. And Ann lost that argument. And I'm very offended that
agreed.
That argument was lost in emotion.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Yeah, it's become this is a mess, you guys. That's why we're referring to this video, because it's gotten so bad. These people are a mess, okay? That she even takes time to point out the fact that when she realized that he had watched Ken Main's video, she comes forward and says, well, it terrifies me to think that maybe he was watching me and what fantasies he may have been having too. Are you kidding me? I mean, this is so dramified now, you guys. And not that it already wasn't, okay? But it's a mess. It's disgusting. And I couldn't believe at some point, though, she did stop and she's asking a couple questions that make you wonder, is she thinking on her own now? Is she making her own, is she questioning things herself? but then she goes right back into the trap, as I'll call it. So,
You know, as part of your act, you can sprinkle it with some realistic portions which will make one think that you're thinking that.
sure.
So it's not all completely ridiculous, in other words.
Yeah, I could see that would make some sense too. Agreed. And by the way, everybody in chat, we usually don't have these problems. I just want to make sure we're not going to. The only rules we have in here is to respect each other's feelings, thoughts, theories, and opinions on this. People have differing feelings and opinions, so let's make sure we respect each other because we're all adults and we can do that. Do not be ignorant to people, talk down to people, or especially anybody that I have on my panel right now, which I don't see that happening. I just want to make that known. But you can have your own thoughts, feelings, and opinions and express them, and you should not be attacked for that, period. Okay, so that's all I'm saying. Rach just said that she thinks that Hitler could be removed because he disclosed her other client's name in court. That was something I was wondering. That's a good point, Rach. And in written order, which is not related, therefore prejudicial. That's interesting. Sarge, do you know anything about that? Because she did bring up the other case that Ann was taken on. And she did release that information. That's nobody's. They're not allowed to do that, are they?
I don't think that I don't know the context under which it was released. I'd have to see it. But she's working 2 murder cases. Everybody knows that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the identity of the other murder case is public.
Yeah, well, the other one,
right?
they're both death penalty cases too. So
yeah, and they're public information as far as the charges being levied or indictments being issued against a particular individual and who the lawyer record is. There's nothing wrong with that being made a statement out of.
Okay. Well, I was just curious. I had no idea, but Tomboy also said that Hitler disclosed the grand jury statements and saying, is that against the gag order? Well,
he makes the gag order, so no.
That's what I was going to say. That would be his call, I would think. So, and then he just repositioned the gag order and re-explained it all. Based on what he explained, I would imagine that Steve Gonsalves should be under that, but Steve is just spewing everything. So, I maybe I'm mishearing it. Maybe I'm misreading. I don't know.
It appears like he's openly lying, knowingly lying, which is just to me the filthiest thing that any parent can do when you're the parent of one of these victims.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just find that to be terrible.
It's insane. It makes no sense to me. So, yes. So let's go ahead and scroll through here and listen to some of these things she points out. And then we're going to talk about the things that she's pointing out here that are beyond ridiculous to me. Absolutely beyond ridiculous.
Everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield. This is Drop Dead Serious. And if you thought that you knew everything about Brian Kohberger and the Idaho student murders, think again. Because the Dateline NBC episode that just aired, the one with Keith Morrison, it is not a rehash. It is not a recap. It is a veritable avalanche of brand new jaw-dropping reporting. And I am going to walk you through all of it. And just FYI, this is not a full recap of the Dateline special, just the brand new details that stood out in the special, starting with something from the summer of 2022. NBC reports that right after Brian Kohberger left Pennsylvania and moved into his new apartment at Washington State University, he was invited to a pool party by a neighbor. And that sounds normal enough. But according to a woman named Holly, who was also at that party, things got pretty weird pretty fast. According to Dateline, Holly says that Brian Kohberger seemed awkward at the party, that he didn't seem to know anybody, and she could tell that he was trying to put himself out there. And Holly felt, charitable, obligated to talk to him. And then Kohberger put his cell phone number into her cell phone contacts and texted himself from her phone. She later texted back just her name, Holly. At this same pool party, a witness says he saw Kohberger fixate.
Well, first and foremost, that was a mutual agreement. He didn't take it from her. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. He
You blanked out there, Dagger. Nothing she just said is of any consequence. He just seemed awkward. He's around a pool full of strangers. I mean, we're all going to feel a little out of place, right? And the fact that he got a phone number and did that with the phone number isn't unusual either. That's the modern day of how you trade phone numbers.
Okay, so sorry about that. So yeah, he acted out of place. He acted awkward. Okay, first off, he's new to the area. Mind you, all of this is based on one thing too, that the guy has ASD. So he's going to be a little bit different in his actions, okay? That's not a bad thing. That doesn't make you a bad person. I have a child that's the same damn way. Social cues, all that kind of stuff. So that is my number one issue right
Didn't
there.
she say she approached him?
I believe, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. So yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean. This whole Dateline thing is just
It's 100%. Yes, this is normal socialization, in my opinion, and like traded numbers. Okay.
slick too. I mean, I like what he did with the phone. I wrote
Of
that
course.
down for a few further interactions with the opposite sex.
There you go, Sarge. There you go. However it works.
On two women in bikinis. One of them was married and gave her husband one of those nonverbal signals like, rescue me. We all know them, right? The same witness says that Koberger didn't seem to get the message or ignored it outright, and that he brushed the husband off and sat down at the edge of the pool, even closer to the women.
So once again, that refers back to social cues that a lot of people don't get them that are on the spectrum. Okay, maybe he didn't catch that. Maybe he didn't understand it. I know my son for a fact is a lot like that. Doesn't get when people get irritated with him or don't really want him around. He doesn't see that. And that's a normal thing. Okay, so that doesn't mean you're a weird person or a murderer.
The first time I met my friend's wife, I didn't know it was his wife.
Right.
And I sat down next to her and I was talking and I said, man, you got gorgeous eyes. He said, hey, that's my wife. I said, so you're telling me I don't got a shot? What's going on here? I mean, I didn't know it was his wife, but that's how I met his wife.
Right. I got you.
So what's wrong with that? I mean, big deal.
I mean, you people don't always know that unless somebody's, if she had a ring on, maybe he didn't look, or they don't announce that they're married, so on and so forth. If that's a thing, if she felt threatened by him that he was hitting on her, then she should have announced, I'm married. I'm not comfortable with this. That's the problem. Right. That's how that works in a lot of occasions that I've seen. So I'm just saying that's a bit of a reach and kind of a stretch in my opinion, but okay.
The day after the pool party, July 10th, NBC reports that Holly got a text from Brian Koberger. It said, hey, I'm pretty sure we spoke about hiking trips yesterday. I really enjoy that activity, so please let me know. Thanks. Holly told Dateline she thought it was robotic and awkward and strange and that it was just not the kind of normal language that people would use, and ultimately she just never responded.
And none of that is true. None of that is true. That has been turned and twisted now because that wasn't welcome, Missy Moo. The reason why that happened. First off, how can you tell if a text message is robotic and awkward? Can somebody tell me that, please?
Dago, and that's why she has to sell it. And we spoke about this earlier today, but notice the way she pronounced the word activity. She went out of her way to make it awkward.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. There's no awkwardness about a text message. There's no weirdness about it. It's just, once again, I'm proving a point with this whole thing tonight, guys, about the propaganda, the bullshit, and the lengths that they have gone. This is jury tainting, in my opinion. This whole thing, all of this stuff that's been going on is all jury tainting, in my opinion. Okay. So I'm just saying, next on, or that was one of my biggest issues with this, the way they did this whole thing. Sorry.
We also heard about a man who was DJing that same pool party, who said he ran into Brian Koberger later on. The DJ was with some friends when he saw.
Now, what I'm saying, though, is I've seen Sherry just said the girl said it on Dateline. Yeah, but she did say something else, too, which is completely opposite of each other. She made two statements that were completely opposite of each other. That's the point I'm going to get at here in a minute.
Koberger hiking on the Kamiok Butte, a popular trail about 15 miles outside of Pullman, Washington. The DJ said that this run-in was near nightfall and that Koberger was hiking uphill in the dark all alone.
Oh,
The group thought that it was odd, especially that late in the evening. According to Dateline, the DJ said that Koberger walked right up to his group as though they were old friends, but the group didn't recognize him. Now, jump forward to August 16th, 6 weeks after moving to Washington State University. That's when Brian Koberger
unbelievable.
allegedly went on a Google spree. Dateline says he searched for the words Ted Bundy.
Now, do you see the words that she's using? This is something Eddie points out a lot with these. A Google spree. In turn, now you have a visualization in your mind. It's ridiculous.
But he misspelled it as Ted H7NDY. The letters are very close together, so you can see that it was an effort to say Bundy. And then he allegedly searched for the name of one of his professors and then downloaded a paper that professor had written.
Oh boy.
Paper? Ted Bundy on the Malignant Being, an analysis of the justificatory discourse of a serial killer by
Ooh.
Amélie Pedneau. Then came August 21st,
No.
5 days after that Bundy search, when Koberger got a traffic ticket near to 1122 King Road. And 5 days after that, on August 26th, he Googled, "When can a cop detain you?" In September, a Korean woman with whom Koberger shared an office.
Okay, so Googling when can a cop detain you?
Normal. After a traffic stop, right?
Why? Right. Why? That's what I'm saying. None of these things are abnormal. None of
So
them.
this guy is in criminology. Of course, all of this stuff interests him, or every single person, whether you believe is guilt or innocent, you're all murderers to go into these streams,
Sure.
right?
Guys, like I said this earlier today, and we've all said this. He looked up Ted Bundy. Look up my Google search. Does that make me a murderer? Because I can tell you it's way worse than his. With the things
Listening to this makes us all potential murderers. Eddie, you better watch yourself.
100% is what they're saying. If you base it off of what they're saying, that's exactly what it looks like. So I was obsessed with Jeffrey Dahmer for a while because he's from where I'm from, like not too far away. And I looked him up all the time and was looking into this and that, everything else. That doesn't mean I'm going to be like him. Okay. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And yes, every one of us looked up. That's right, Contessa. We all looked up the K-bar knife after this all was told to us. Every one of us Googled it. Does that make us all murderers? No. But that's what they're doing. That's what they have to do.
At WSU, somebody Dateline described as one of the only friends that Brian Koberger had. She shared with NBC that she believed someone had broken into her apartment because her stuff was rearranged weird. A cake that she had baked was found in the microwave. Items in her bathroom
Thanks, Mike.
were lined up in an odd
That's
way.
where I keep my cakes.
2 of her things were missing: a watch and a letter. A letter. Not a lot of value for just a old-fashioned burglar to steal a letter, but that was what was gone. A watch and a letter. Later on, this same woman told the police that before that break-in had happened, she'd lost her apartment key. She said she kept the key in a specific drawer in her office, the same office that she shared with Brian Koberger. A few hours after she noticed that it was missing, the key mysteriously reappeared.
Oh my God, the
feeling
magic
unsafe
key.
after the break-in, Dateline reports that
And what that may tell me is that maybe she didn't look right and probably misplaced it.
Hey,
That's
listen, none
fine.
of this can be used in trial. Be aware of that.
Yeah, none of it.
And what they're intentionally doing, as Eddie has so profoundly pointed out over and over again,
Yes.
is they're propagandizing the public with the backdrop, this kid's the killer, and look at the stupid, insane, weird stuff he's done, and none of it is weird.
None at all.
Nothing.
Not at all. Thank you, Noel, so very much. In my opinion, Dane Cook did. Thanks, Noel. I appreciate that so much. But yeah, like I said, what are the odds, guys, that the woman just pushed the key was in the corner of the desk and she didn't find it? Then all of a sudden she did. Come on now.
And just keep in mind, we're over here on the outside looking in. We're getting one side to a story, and what really happened,
Right.
who knows?
Absolutely. And like I said, I can almost promise you guys, I could bet money on the fact that if these interviews were given before Brian was arrested, they'd be completely different. I could promise you that. 100% different.
He went to Koberger's apartment seeking his help. Remember, she thinks they're friendly, close even. And now looking back on things, she wonders if he was the one who broke into her apartment in the first place and did all those very strange things. Dateline also reported that this same woman actually had a romantic interest in Brian Koberger. And that when she said something to the effect of, "Hey, I'd like something more with you," Brian Koberger apparently got cold feet and began to distance himself.
So there's the real reason why this girl gave this interview, because she was mad because he turned her down.
Yep.
He wasn't interested in her.
I don't know where I've dated 2 Asian women that came from their originating countries to here, and the most strikingly appearing women I've ever dated, and they were both nuts, jealous, possessive. It was a nightmare, bro.
Right, and that's 100% right there.
And I'm not saying that applies to all women of Asian descent, but my experience was, and like I said, they weren't born in America and raised in America. They were raised in Korea and Cambodia, and their interaction was just wow. It was crazy.
And just everyone, just keep in mind, pay special attention to how she's talking. Like if someone in your life was speaking to you like this, like going overboard to try to make you believe something. I mean, if something is true, you don't have to over dramatize it and get melodramatic the way she's doing it. She's laying it on thick and pulling your leg. You can tell. She's not even trying to disguise it, but she's doing a good job selling it. I tell you, she's working hard for her money.
She's entertaining the viewers. That's her job.
100%. Agreed.
The woman said it was actually upsetting. NBC News reports that on September 30th, Koberger Googled sociopathic traits in college student. Then, according to
hold on, Dago. I wish I had the peace of mind to do that when I dated the first Asian girl, but no, stupid B went and got another one.
Live and learn. Live and learn. Oh yeah, and then there's that. She's refused to be interviewed by Dateline, so it's all hearsay. 100%. That's interesting to me.
things ramp up again. October 4th, 6:12 a.m., Koberger is all over social media, searching women at WSU, Washington State University, and the University of Idaho, too. October 5th, 3:29 a.m., more searches of women.
And again, he's hey, Bonnie, good to see you. Bobby, good to see you as well. He's new to the area. He's not with anybody. He's a single guy. I would have done the same thing more than likely.
Well, it's also the when you can't sleep hour of masturbation. I mean, you know, he's a young man. And I don't see that what she's pointing out to be anything any more unusual than any other man that age, 28 or lower, looking up girls that are in his area.
It's not at all.
How many guys looked at the yearbook or some of the girls they went to school with?
Of course. And like Missy said, what are they expected to search men? They need to have been stalking them. They're looking for anything they can find to point it at them.
I was sort of hoping this cat was gay. You want to know the truth? Only because that would just be more fun to the chaos.
Of course. And here's the thing. If he wouldn't have searched women, then they would have said he hated women. That's what they've been doing. They've already done that, per se.
Yeah, no matter what this kid does, he's guilty.
Agreed. Yeah. Absolutely agreed.
October 9th, 2:15 a.m. He Googles explicit terms related to pornography, like forced, passed out, drugged, sleeping. October 19th, 5:37 a.m. Another search.
Wait a minute. Pause.
Go
Thank you.
ahead, bud.
Is she saying that there's that connection just to suggest it and have us believe that? Those words that she just said have nothing to do. I mean, they could have something to do that are sexual in nature, but not the words standing by themselves. So
Not at all.
it's interesting how she's not giving us the full bit of information there and just kind of suggesting something.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
But
Again,
then,
what
even if it's sexual, all of this information is not going to be usable at trial. The fact that they got their hands on these specific pieces of information and now are poisoning the public with them where they're not usable as evidence, this is horrific what they're doing to this guy.
Absolutely.
It's beyond
That's the point.
imagination.
That's
And look,
the point.
all people have fantasies, and it's not for me to judge what you are turned on by, okay? Unless
Not at
it
all.
crosses the line into out and out violence, rape, or pedophilia, everything else is fine. As long as you're a consenting adult with your own hands or with another human being, right?
And we were talking about this earlier with them. I was talking about with the mods, and there's a lot of people that have fantasy things of, you know, painful stuff. Okay, that's their thing. That's their business. That doesn't make you a murderer. Okay, you can think about whatever you want to think about. If you act on it, there's a problem. Now, if you have certain thoughts about things that, you know, pedophilia, things like that, we have a problem. I get that. I agree. But
Yeah.
At that point, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with this kid. He's 28 years old. He's a male. He's single. And like you said, that's why we're doing this show tonight. This is absolutely disgusting to me what they're doing at this point now. Okay.
Right. They're painting this guy to be something that there's no evidence to support it at all. And it's
There
not
was-
even
yeah.
out of the norm.
Nothing. Right. And there was no sexual acts done in these murders. Nothing. There was no essay. There was none of that. So that would have nothing to do with this at that point. They're just throwing this out there to give it a little bit of icing on the cake as to how bad of a person this guy is because of this, which is all bullshit. It's not. It's not at all.
Bullshit.
not to belabor the point, but to add on to what Sergeant was saying is I've been in the chat now and again, I kind of chiding like the prosecution, Bill Thompson, whatever. Like it would be interesting to watch him use that as an exhibit and to try to address the jury and try to sell that point. And again, it's not going to be used at trial. And if it is, it's going to be just unprecedented. Like that is not how you build your case and to make your case against someone who you have as, you know, this is an airtight case. That is not where you'd spend your time trying to convince a jury.
Right.
If you look like Bill Thompson, I promise you this, your whole adult life you've been called Santa Claus, and it would not be abnormal for him to look for Mrs. Claus, sex with Mrs. Claus, sex with elves, sex with midgets. None of that would surprise me. His whole life he's looked like Santa Claus.
Right.
Now, I can't judge the guy for what turns him on or doesn't turn him on, but the point is none of that is relevant to the crime. And that's what makes this hit piece so horrible, is they're taking actual facts that they shouldn't be in possession of. Did Brian give them his phone? Did Brian tell them this information? No.
No,
And
they got into his computer and did this, and that's the problem. This is
the police gave this to them. The prosecutors gave this over to them, and that should be a violation of the highest order. This should actually, that should be it. These prosecutors should be held to account.
I agree.
And not the guy that did it, but the guy in charge, because the buck stops with the guy in charge, which is Bill Thompson.
The guy that told him to do it, yes.
No. If Officer Payne did this on the sneak, it wouldn't matter. He's under the direction and under the, the power of the district attorney.
Right, that's what I mean.
The district attorney. Therefore, if your employees are given this dirt that can't be used in court, then that case needs to be shut down and a whole new prosecution team. If you're going to continue in Idaho, a whole new team needs to be brought in.
100%. They are doing everything in their power to absolutely taint the jury and anybody in the public. Everybody in the public eye needs to look at this man as this horrible, crawling straight out of hell monster that does all these horrible things. And that's what their goal is. nothing but, and it's absolutely insane. I've never seen this done before in my life. Never. I mean, I'm telling you, I've seen many of these cases happen, but none of this shit. I don't think they even did this with the Richard Allen case. They didn't go into his life and pull all these things out and talk about this, that, or what things he looked up online or any of that. This is insane, you guys.
This is evidence that's not admissible in court that's been turned over to the media to turn it, and they turned it into a hit piece.
Right.
And that in and of itself should disqualify this particular prosecution's office from prosecuting the case.
I agree with you.
It'll be interesting because there is a gray area. Who knows what type of ridiculous exhibits they are going to introduce at trial. One of them we know for sure, which is ridiculous. And I've talked about this before. It is the fact that they had to do these experiments to go into the house and to time how long, according to them, it would take to carry out this, for one person to carry out this quadruple homicide. The fact that they did that proves that he is innocent. And that is a ridiculous way to showcase and to litigate your case. You wouldn't even have to do that.
Right.
And that is, I guess, one that we know of, but there's gray area. Like how much of this stuff that we're hearing on these mainstream media channels is going to be part of their case. It'll be interesting.
Right. Right. Well, and here's the thing. Here's another quick thing. How come we don't see any videos of anybody coming out doing an interview with the woman whose life Bryan Kohberger saved? Why don't we see an interview of that? I don't think.
I think Anna's got grounds to disqualify this prosecution.
I can agree with you. I can agree.
Because I run a business, and it's not a prosecution office that puts people's lives on the line. I'm not, I don't have that level of responsibility. But if something goes wrong at a job site, where does the buck stop if not with me?
Right.
And in this situation, with this particular newscast, I'm sorry. If any of that is truthfully collected evidence that's not going to be used, but even if it's going to be used by the prosecution, the fact that it was put in the hands of a mass media outlet should disqualify this prosecution from trying this case.
I agree. And here, this isn't even the main story provider. This is somebody just talking about what the Dateline did. And they really, really laid it on thick with this too, you guys. It's really sad.
How do they know what he searched in his phone? That's specific. That's too specific. The woman with the text message you can get by interviewing the woman, but where'd you get her name? How do you know what he did with his phone? What he searched? What kind? I mean, some of the information is freely available, like the hikers. But when they went into the phone, they crossed a line. That's a bridge too far.
Well, you know what, Bobby? You're right in a sense, and you're right, Sarge. If we go back to what went on in the Delphi case, I did forget about a situation that I believe the prosecution provided, where they had, in my opinion, somebody go in to the defense's law office, steal some photographs. They set somebody up to go in and steal some photographs of the.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and then it came back on the defense because it went down like that, and they tried to disqualify the defense on that, and it didn't end up being that way. But there's another version of what these people, how dirty they are to do these things. This is insane. This is not by the letter of the law by any means.
No,
that's not how it's supposed to happen. But they're doing it, and they're getting away with it. 100%.
Yeah.
Behave pro-socially.
No
in the
problem.
Dateline episode, there were a number of new blurry selfies of Bryan Kohberger on his own phone. Keith Morrison said the photos were resized for quality, but otherwise unchanged.
Bullshit. Because the producer, Shane Bishop, absolutely admitted to going in, photoshopping, and changing these photographs. So that's bullshit. And he did it on purpose because you see, they only showed the one black hoodie photograph that makes him look ominous, I guess you could say, for lack of better terms. The rest of them, they're not. You can tell what this was. He was taking pictures of himself, maybe for a dating site. Who knows? He's wearing a WSU sweatshirt. That's where he goes to school and works. He's got the hood up. It looks like he's trying to take photographs that would make him look a certain type of way to put on either a dating website or just for his social media accounts or whatever. Okay. but they cut everything out that makes it look less than ominous. It's disgusting. So, and there's many of them. If you look at some of the face, look how blurry that is, guys. These are obviously shopped. Okay.
Dago, if you could please highlight a comment from Eve 22.
Yes, sir. 1 minute here. Let me get to it. That's a video. That one there.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what it looks like to me because it's
And-
so blurry.
And Angel D said that
Question,
earlier today.
question. Guys,
Those are screen pauses, is what those
all
are.
that matters on this, the only thing that matters is how did they get them? You know,
That's another big
the striking problem here is how did they get access to Brian Koberger's personal photos? Now you can claim source and avoid responsibility, but those photos had to have come from the prosecutor's office, from the prosecutor's case.
How
There's
did
no other place for that to come from.
Wow. Yeah, Sergeant. How did Dateline get any of this shit? Any of it? Okay.
Well, because somebody that's tied to the case, the prosecution is dumping this stuff out. And I would, if I were Ann, I'd be filing motions and complaints. I'd be going making bar complaints. My pen would run out of ink before I stopped complaining. You know how long a pen can write with ink.
Absolutely. And I want to see. I'm curious to see if this even gets brought up at we got 3 days for the hearing. I want to see if this gets brought up and what his reaction to this is. Because if he blows this off, that says it all to me right there. This is definite bullshit. And this is absolutely not legal in my opinion. There may be a gray area with this that I'm not knowing about, but this is highly, in my opinion, against the law to do stuff like this. And it's wrong. Absolutely wrong. Well, I don't know.
Maybe the defense leaked it. Yeah, because, they're trying to put their kid in front of a firing squad.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Many were of Brian in
Yeah, look how ominous that looks. Are you serious? Come on. Good God.
black hoodies, sometimes wearing 2 layers of black clothing.
Wow.
Different poses.
Oh my God. 2 layers of clothing. That definitely makes him a murderer.
Where's the mask?
Right. That's all he needs now. Congratulations, Zelda. Happy day anniversary. 26 months. She's been over 2 years, you guys. That's awesome. We
So
love
he
you,
was wearing.
Zelda.
Sorry, Dago.
You're all right. Go ahead, bud.
So he was wearing 2 layers of clothes in the wintertime.
I know that's horrible, isn't it? God forbid.
I want to remind people, look at Dylan Mortensen herself said she observed his photograph on her own and with the police. And one of the things she said is she'd expected the photo to jump out at her, and she doesn't remember that nose.
Not at all.
That kid has got a prominent nose, okay?
Yeah.
A very prominent nose. And in the description of eyebrows, where are they bushy?
They're not bushy. Look at the picture
Not
of
only
it.
that, if she couldn't recognize the photograph, she's already exculpatorily removed him from the crime scene. And
Agreed.
like I said the other day, the eyebrows arrested him, the nose will free him.
Right. Right. Right.
Right?
I mean, seriously. This is insane. It's ridiculous.
That guy's got a nose that's like a sail on a boat.
Right. And you can tell this is shocked right here. And again, looks like another video. Look at it.
Oh, he looks so he looks like the Grim Reaper.
Well, did you hear the song, Sarge? I know you didn't. They put this up as a video and they played Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult, and they have him singing it. These people are ignorant. It's so ignorant.
Awesome, man. These people go to all lengths to get you.
Anything they can do.
Outfits. He also had screenshots of various Instagram profiles saved as pictures to his phone.
Ooh.
Screenshots were photos of young women, blondes, brunettes from both WSU and University of Idaho. According to Dateline, some of the people whose social media was saved onto Koberger's phone were either close friends.
How did they get this?
Followers of Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Xana Kernodle.
How did they get those images?
No idea. But you notice that these are all people that are friends with the victims, but not one of the victims was found there. That's interesting to me. That's ridiculous. That is so ridiculous to me. And again, how did they get all that? How'd they get into that? That's what I want to know. Whether they have his phone or don't have his phone, have a warrant for his phone. How did you get into that? That's the FBI.
Dateline's only way in is through people connected to the case. There's no other way for a media outlet to get that data.
Exactly. Or is it possible that a family member could have had that information?
Oh, they'd have to have Brian's phone.
Unless it was given to them.
No, by who? Come on. That's locked in evidence, man.
I mean, somebody that's close to the case gives it to him, is what I'm saying.
Somebody connected to the prosecution is giving that information to this particular news agency.
That's my opinion too. I agree with you. And Jules did a video and she's like, it doesn't make sense. There's no way they should have any of this. And she said the only people that aren't under the gag order are the feds. I can't imagine the feds handing this over to a media show. Come on. I mean, they do some shit, but that's ridiculous. Unless it's one specific person that got paid off for this. That's my only opinion on that. But still, somebody handed them this information, and it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I agree with Sarge when he says that this should definitely be, this should absolutely be, the prosecution should be hailed for this. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. Excuse me. Joanne said this info didn't come from the feds. I don't think it did either. I think it came from somewhere right in the center of the case, in my opinion, truly. I'd just be curious to see who.
One criminal profiler told Dateline that those images, quote, fueled his fantasies and that ultimately, allegedly, filled his fantasies.
Let me guess. Jennifer Coffendorfer, I bet you $100.
And then on the night of the murders, November 13th, Dateline showed never-before-seen surveillance video that captured a white car making multiple passes.
Now, I want you guys to watch this footage, too, by the way. First off, you can tell it's not a damn Elantra. Second of all, watch what they did with the footage, okay? Thank you so much, Cat Liver. God bless. Appreciate that super sticker so very much. It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. Welcome, Amor. Good to see you.
In front of the house at 1122 King Road, all captured on camera at these times: 3:30 a.m., 3:33 a.m.
I'm telling you, as far as I'm concerned, that's not an Elantra at all. It doesn't even, it's too small to be an Elantra, in my opinion, first off. But second off, just look at the car, you guys, for what you can see. And look at what they've done with the footage. When they say he speeds off, they sped up the footage to make it look like he goes faster.
Dago, I'm going to challenge you on that if that's all right. I do think it could be an Elantra. There's not enough information to determine what kind of car it is, but I think there's one point we should all agree on is it cannot be determined what color it is. To say it's white would be misleading.
Of course, I agree. It just doesn't look like an Elantra to me, Eddie. I appreciate the challenge. I just don't think, because of it looks shorter to me. Right there, it just doesn't look like it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and I'm okay with that, but it just doesn't look like one. But the one thing I know for a fact, you can tell, they sped the footage up to make it look like the car speeds off like a bat out of hell, which is ridiculous. So,
a.m., 3:33 a.m., 3:38 a.m., 3:40 a.m., 3:56 a.m., 3:58 a.m. And then at 4:20 a.m., the white car speeds away. In the footage, you can hear what seems to be the white car's engine revving up.
You can tell they sped the footage up there. It's ridiculous. And here's the other thing, too, is the car that you can hear does not have, it has that, like I said before, that kind of that soup can turbo sounding motor. That car does not have, an Elantra does not have that motor, but okay. I won't argue those points. I'm just saying.
Here's what else is new. At 6:17 a.m., not even 2 full hours after the white car was seen on surveillance, leaving 1122 King Road, Dateline report.
Joanne just said there was also a car missing from in front of the porch there. Hold on a minute here. Yeah. Wasn't there a vehicle here in the other photographs? Right here? I think you're right, Joanne, because that does look different now. Huh. Okay. On we go.
3:56 a.m., 3:58 a.m. And then at 4:20 a.m., the white car speeds away. In the footage, you can hear what seems to be the white car's engine revving up. Here's what else is new. At 6:17 a.m., not even 2 full hours after the white car was seen on surveillance, leaving 1122 King Road, Dateline reports that Brian Koberger makes a 36-minute phone call to a number on his father's family plan.
Now, hold on a minute here. Let me catch that back up one more time so we catch the exact time on that. I backed up a little too far there. Hold on, guys.
2 full hours after the white car was seen on surveillance, leaving 1122 King Road, Dateline reports that Brian Koberger makes a 36-minute phone call to a number on his father's family plan. And apparently, every family member had a phone registered to Brian Koberger's dad. It was the first of three calls
So pause that right there.
registered to
What's that supposed to suggest? That he's
He called a family member. That's what, you know what I mean? That's what does that even mean? So what? 2 hours after
he's using a phone that's not typically his, like he's got a different phone than his normal phone. Is that what she's saying?
no idea. No, it doesn't make any sense. He
She
made
said
it
that all these phones are connected to the father.
right. So they're all on a
Family
family
plan.
plan. That's how it is here.
But the
My
fact
wife-
that she has that detail is problematic.
Agreed.
Why does she know that?
That's yeah, of all people. Why does anybody know that other than law enforcement and Brian?
Correct.
100%. 100%. Walking in Tonka said if you freeze that at 420, 48, you can see the taillights are square. I'll go back and check it out at some point. Thank you, Tonka. But yeah, so he calls somebody in his family plan. My wife, myself, my son, and my mother-in-law are all on the same family plan. We all have our own phones. We all pay, like my mother-in-law, she pays for her bill. She pays it to us. You know what I mean? But still, it doesn't mean anything. A lot of people do this. It's a normal thing to do. So he calls somebody in his family plan, his dad, his mom, one of his sisters. So what?
Before you move forward, real quick, about all those timestamps on those vehicle security camera footage.
Uh-huh.
There was about, what, 4 of them, right? I think yeah,
so,
we don't have to know exact, but my question is, and I'm wanting to know Sarge's thoughts on this too, because we were talking about what, some of this stuff is just ridiculous, and it's not going to be, the prosecution is not going to be bringing it into trial and discussing it. Some of it is, though. So my question is, on all those timestamps, do you think, Sarge, that, of course, a couple of them, the 420, speeding away for sure, and, maybe another one, him entering, but do you think that all those timestamps that the prosecution is going to say that that's his car?
I think they will.
They're going to make the allegation it's his car.
All those times. Okay.
I think they're going to try, yeah.
It's a similar vehicle. I don't know, man.
I think this is what they're basing it off of right there, you guys. Look, here it is. He was there. He made all these passes, and then he took off like a bat out of hell.
So then he's driving around and he's going to somewhere, and then eventually get caught, somewhere out there, get caught on another camera on all those trips. So they're going to have like this whole catalog of vehicles.
Yep.
And suggest that it's his, and I bet all of them are going to be indecipherable. You cannot tell what's on that.
100%. I agree, Eddie. I agree.
Crazy. Okay.
I agree. It is beyond crazy. Welcome, Cynthia. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this.
Originally, in the very beginning, when that Linda Lane came out, after I came back and you watch it, that looks like a delivery person or a pickup drop-off person.
I agree.
It's looking to find his way around, or
I said that before, Sarge, that the way I thought that was possibly the DoorDash person getting lost because of the way this address comes out on GPS. It absolutely could be.
There's a lot of argument that it's that green car.
It could be.
And I honestly think there is no car in this crime.
I
There's
agree
no
with you.
car on that particular road at that time. And if there is any vehicle, it's nowhere near the house, and as much as caught on a camera located to the house.
Nope.
There
That's
may
what
be a car if you went up the hill behind it, or you walked across the street down to the Taylor Road, or
That's
over
where the
to
car
Lemon
went.
Lane. There may be a vehicle somewhere nearby that they used, or they came from a nearby home.
I agree. They went in and out of that house on foot. They showed up there on foot. That's my opinion, and it has been for a long time.
Did you see Ann's argument about the dog?
That
That dog was argued to have been by Officer Payne outside when it was barking.
Oh yeah.
And then somehow it got brought back into the house. And their argument is, how do we know the sliding door was closed or opened?
Right.
Well, you can't verify which one, but if the dog was outside, right, and all the bedroom doors are open, whether it was brought back in, which is likely, and put back up in its room, or it ran back in, how do you explain there not being any blood on the dog?
Thank you.
In other words, was that dog kept in Bethany's room the whole night?
They made it sound like that dog sat in Kaylee's room with the door open all damn night long at some point. If you remember
And
that.
it worked for 30 minutes continuously. What calmed it down?
Good point. We're about to hear audio that's in this video that they played where you hear him barking like crazy for a while. Who stopped it? Who shut him down? And don't tell me that it wasn't one of the girls in the house, because that's exactly who would do it. That's exactly who would do that. But they didn't do that. Who did it then?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
No, we're not blaming the dog, Walt. That's just that's how do you get a question like that on what was just pointed out? That's kind of
because he just likes to challenge everything said because he's on the other side of the fence. That's all. He's just doing what he does. No big deal.
All fence, bro.
Yeah, I know.
It's Trump's wall.
His dad that morning. And the longest call, that lasted 54 minutes. And then, as we know, at 10:30, others family plan. And apparently every family member.
So what is this supposed to mean? That he killed these kids and then he called his family and told them what he did? That's so stupid to bring this up. It makes no sense. Multiple calls, by the way. That's what he did. Okay.
Member had a phone registered to Brian Koberger's dad.
Ooh.
It was the first of three calls to numbers registered to his dad that morning. And the longest call?
The funniest thing is what you say in that GM that he went round and round several times. Brian wasn't in this area when that happened. Brian was, as Twiz would say, I'll just say what Twiz says. He was in Lewiston. I'll put it that way. But anyway, he wasn't even in this area with his car when this happened. When that whole video happened, he wasn't there. There's the problem. So just take that and hold that to mind because it doesn't make any sense. As everything. Hey, Critical, good to see you.
Yeah, a dog's bark, though, when a dog is either threatened or threatening, is not the same bark you hear when someone walks by your house.
Agreed.
The dog's the whole tone and texture of that bark will be different. If your dog is witnessing you being attacked and murdered, its bark is not going to be the bark that you hear when you let it outside by itself and it sees another dog or it sees a stranger walk by. Two totally different barks.
Or if they're hearing yelling, or if they're barking because they want you to pay attention, any of that
smell
stuff.
Blood.
Yeah.
Right.
Completely different sounds.
Yeah. So
lasted 54 minutes.
Ooh.
And then, as we know, at 10:31 a.m., he takes that now infamous cell.
Bingo. Great statement, Don One. You can't question Brian's calls to his parents without questioning Dylan and Bethany's calls to their parents. I agree. What's fair is fair. 100%. 100%.
Oh, no.
In what looks like a bathroom.
Mama Bear.
Smiling.
What's up, Mama Bear?
I want to keep it nice and warm for you. Just hold your nose on me.
She's up having her midnight snack. That's funny. Isabel, hello to you. RT Traveler, welcome. Tonka, great to see you tonight. Let me catch up with the Done One. Great to have you. Cat Lover, Be Real. Critical Minds in the house. GM 5637. Thank you for joining us. Bobby, Eve, Linda, Fizzy Kate. I seen you already. I'm making sure. Joanne, hello and welcome. And anybody that I can't see that may be out there standing in the hallway watching, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate each and every one of you. Mittens for Kittens, good to see you. CZ, welcome back to you. Candy Girl, good to see you. Sorry, I didn't sing it. Jody Walters, Miss Sherry, all of you, Amor, thank you guys so much for joining us. It's great to have you all here tonight.
Seemingly very pleased and seemingly freshly showered. Keith Morrison
So he's seemingly very pleased and seemingly very, very pleased after the shower. That's so ridiculous. Okay. I hope you feel better.
That was for Mama.
Yes. Deborah Woman, welcome. Good to see you tonight as well. And now your chair is ruined, Mama Bear. There you go.
described that once police were called and arrived at 1122 King Road that morning, they found Xana Kernodle in a massive pool of blood. They found Ethan Chapin, according to NBC, dead in Xana's bed.
Now, why did we have to hear that from Dateline, and that wasn't in a document, and that wasn't put out by anybody else within this case, but Dateline could put that out?
That's exculpatory evidence to Brian Koberger.
That Brian,
you can't have that much blood all over a floor that ran out the wall, as we saw, right?
Yeah.
Now we can make that connection that most likely on that cinder block wall was Xana's blood.
Well, that was my point right there, Sarge.
Now from a massive pool of blood that has been there for 8 hours.
So now here's the thing.
Or more.
What did she just said, a massive pool of blood. But during the 911 call, that wasn't mentioned at all. Was it? Did we hear anything about a massive pool of blood? No. That she just passed out. There it is. Okay.
Now, those two girls know way more than they're sharing, and there's a lot more going on in this crime that has nothing to do with Brian Koberger, except they're telling us it's Brian Koberger.
Right. Yeah. Dylan never saw blood.
Mm-hmm.
None of them said a word about, oh my God, there's a massive pool of blood. Nope. She just
passed out. No call for an ambulance, really, right? Medics, nothing.
Not till the end, no. But and it's still in the background during the call, you don't hear any sirens coming. Nothing at all. But again, don't you think that Ethan's blood would have soaked all the way through the bed? Oh yeah, 100%. If it's that bad, based on what we're about to hear, yeah, it would be horrible. So hold on a minute here. Let's keep going.
I don't think Ann Taylor ever said it wasn't a messy crime scene. Did she ever say that? I think she was referring to maybe the totality of the home, like it was cleaned.
Right. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Right. Nobody's blaming the roommates for anything other than the fact that they knew something more than that. Well, remember,
Mama 10 made a statement, and I'm sorry, but this to me screams to a military kopaka. Ethan was on the bed up against the wall, and his main artery was struck.
Yes.
Now that there's been this, he told a lot of people stories about what they did in special forces.
Yes.
That being one of them.
And that's definitely, I said for a long time that it sounds more like a military.
Yes.
The person that did this is military trained to be able to do it in that time, of time or they. But the other part of that, though, Sarge, is where they said that there was a chair or a couch that was completely soaked in blood, as if somebody sat down to take a break. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
But not one person. That Brian didn't have time to do that. According to them.
What I honestly think is more likely than not is if Brian is connected to this crime, it's for the general area cleanup.
Possibly.
Okay? And not the actual murders themselves. If he has a connection to Kopaka, you could try to put those two guys together in that kind of a scenario.
Sure.
But the problem is that's not what they're alleging. They're directly accusing him as the primary and sole murderer of these 4 innocent people.
And that's what Eddie touched on that the other day about how they couldn't bring another person into this because they haven't approached it like this. Okay.
Right. You can't all of a sudden now change. No.
Exactly.
You'd have to dismiss these charges and bring a different case.
100%. So once again, just this whole entire thing that they've done is absolutely, every bit of it, in my opinion, is bullshit.
I agree.
Here's what Dateline revealed about the crime scene itself. They say Xana may have heard something upstairs on the 3rd floor and maybe even gone to check on Kaylee and Maddie up there.
Stop
According
that for a
to
second.
NBC sources,
Stop that, Dago. Do you remember what I said in the very beginning about it being someone within the home
Yeah.
that went upstairs and it got out of hand?
Yeah.
And Zana was caught in not as an intentional target, but
Right.
was caught up in this because she confronted the killer.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Remember how I ran that when I said that
I
this sounds like a
absolutely-
crime of passion, like a triangle, a love triangle between the 3 girls?
Yes, I absolutely remember.
So I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm going to take off in a couple of minutes.
Oh, no, it's okay. I appreciate you being here. Absolutely. But no, absolutely, I remember. And it, again, this is another piece of information that Dateline shouldn't have, first off, but second off, was never put into the PCA or any other documents. But now Dateline is telling us about this. That's interesting to me.
That's interesting to me too, only because I was talking about that, 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember. 100% I remember.
Zana was likely chased back downstairs to the 2nd floor, possibly the moment that Brian Kohberger, if he's the killer, dropped or left behind that knife sheath. The fight that followed in Zana's room, according to Dateline,
There you go.
is brutal.
Dago. Beth Dillon testifies she heard someone go up or down, up the stairs. What did she testify about the stairs?
She stated that they put it on Kaylee first, going up and down the stairs. Yeah.
But listen, now make that action an action of her. Of
Right.
herself, her own movements.
Yeah.
Right? Of her going up into that room and coming down and going back up again. Right? Or no, they ended up staying down. They came down, went in the room, she grabbed her knife, went back up, did what she did, came back down again. That would make sense, and it would fit what she's saying about hearing what she thought to be Bethany, or not Bethany, but Kaylee or somebody coming down, up and down, and saying that can't be true because we know the victims were in the bedrooms upstairs. She doesn't even say there was a return trip to the upstairs, but it would explain her movements if she was involved and did it.
It could absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Up, down, and then, anyway, it could explain her own movements, which I've said a lot, that a lot of what she says is hiding her own actions.
Right. I mean, and that's projecting. I mean, in a sense, that happens all the time. She could be projecting from her own possible actions. Yes, I can agree. Absolutely, I can agree.
Down, then up, then down.
That investigators found a blood-stained chair, suggesting that the killer either sat down or brushed against it during the attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as for Ethan, Dateline again with some astounding information. They report that one of Ethan's wounds pierced an artery and that his legs were, quote, carved. Their words, carved.
Now, real quick to answer what Jane just said. Jane's got a great point here. If he dropped the sheath in a fight chasing or going after Zana, so did he run back upstairs and tuck it underneath Maddie? If that was the case, he would have went upstairs and grabbed it and retrieved it and took it with him, if that's, the deal. So no, that whole thing there that Banfield said is ridiculous. Good point, Jane. Thank you for making that make sense.
Thanks.
Dago.
We got to jump out. Eddie, you're awesome.
All right, Sarge. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining us as always.
Likewise, Sergeant. Thanks for being here. Dago, I have a quick question. I didn't understand, Ashley, what she said about a chair that he brushed up against it. Is that what she said?
Well, the first they said it was soaked in blood, but brushing against something's not going to soak it in blood. But yeah, that's what she said. I can play it back if you
on a
want to hear
chair.
it. On a chair, like I'm guessing a chair that was in the bedroom.
Bedroom. Okay.
When it in Xana's room, maybe it was. I don't know if it was like just like a recliner, maybe, or just like a table chair. I don't know. It's crazy. Here, let me play that back one more time just to make sure that's what she said.
Killer dropped or left behind that knife sheath. The fight that followed in Xana's room, according to Dateline, was brutal. So brutal that investigators found a blood-stained chair, suggesting that the killer either sat down or brushed against it.
So that's what she said, bud. Yeah, brushing against it is not going to soak a chair with blood. And sitting down in it, I mean, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but whatever.
There was a battle in that room.
Of course, and that's why I believe her fingers were as bad as they were. There was absolute defensive fighting going on. Absolute, and it was even stated in Hitler's document. I think it was about a fight, or was that something else I heard? Maybe no. Steve said that. I'm sorry. So yeah, there was an absolute fight in that room, and Ethan's in the bed, deceased. Was he involved in that, or was it just Xana? Was he already gone at that point? We don't know, but based on what was heard about what they state here in a minute about what happened to him, it's interesting, very interesting, and God bless Xana for fighting the way she did. I'll say that much. God bless her. At least she got some. But there's a thing. So what you just said, there was a battle in that room, and she fought to the death and didn't leave one mark on Brian Koberger. That's amazing to me. Amazing. That's all I can say.
But she did leave a mark on the killer.
I bet she did. And what I'd like to know is anybody within that area that disappeared for a while, I'd like to know who that was, that had to go into hiding to keep that out of the view of the public. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's exactly what you'd have to do to hide that.
During the attack. And then, as for Ethan, Dateline again with some astounding information. They report that one of Ethan's wounds pierced an artery and that his legs were, quote, carved. Their words, carved. I have to just jump in here for a moment because unless we learn something earth-shattering about the forensics at trial, it is hard to imagine.
And that's something to me, if that's true, Eddie, hearing that his legs were carved, does that or does not sound somewhat personal to you?
Well, it sounds like it would take a lot of time.
First off, yeah, that's a big one. That's time consuming. But
all of
still,
this is taking time. The clock is ticking.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
but personal, in my opinion, to pay extra special attention to him and to do that to him personally. I want to know, was there something carved into his legs? Or was it just carved like whatever? Okay, but it sounds very personal to Ethan, in my opinion.
Like, did Ethan get the upper hand? Is that the only area? Like, did Ethan have a good hold of him? And he was just knifing away at the only portion of Ethan's body that he had access
he
to.
Could get to, right? That's possible too. That's a very good point, actually. Or was Xana wrapped around this person trying to get them away from Ethan, and that's what happened there? That could be too. Because they
were both attacked at the same time.
Yeah, simultaneously. Remember that, guys. So there was two people in that room attacking both of them. Okay. So that's interesting to me. That's very interesting. If you want to ask me, that says its own thing to me. Okay.
This guy had more than he could handle. He wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Or they do. Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. I do. The only place that was ever stated was either for a 4chan post or a Reddit post, but came from a law enforcement officer's family. That's right. That's absolutely correct. Good point, Tomboy. Good point. Think about that for a minute, you guys. Critical said, I don't think carved is the word. It's the word they they are using to not get slapped. He was cut from of thighs to calves. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. That's insane. Either way, still, that takes some time too.
What forensic information could lead any investigator to have a theory that Xana left her room with Ethan, went all the way down her hall, turned right and up the stairs to the 3rd floor, only to come running back down without screaming so loud?
Now, this is where Ashley is talking about something that makes sense finally, because she's right if you listen to what she says here.
That at least Dylan would hear, because she'd run right past Dylan's door and then down the hall back to her room. There's nothing so far in anything that we've seen in any of the court documents or affidavits or police documents to suggest this forensically could have happened. But Dateline says, the source says, this is what is possible.
There's a huge point right there, based on everything we were told, and the PCA, which we know is garbage at this point. But yeah, how did that happen? How did Xana run up and down them stairs? I'm sure there was screaming and yelling going on, okay? And Dylan didn't hear any of that, not even a little. And she had to go basically 3 feet from, actually, I'm sorry, she had to run right past Dylan's door to do that, you guys. Think about that. Right past. Twice. Dylan didn't hear nothing. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Where did Eve go? Or wait. And it's gone now. What's gone? What's gone? What are we talking about over here? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Sorry, guys. I was trying to catch up. My apologies. But yeah, she had to run past twice Dylan's room. I'm sure there was noise, the stomping, the yelling, all of that. Dylan didn't hear any of that. That's amazing to me.
Xana may have run back down to her room and then met this extraordinary, violent death. And that Ethan, his death, was on the bed. And Dateline also aired some chilling audio captured at 4:17 a.m. A faint whimper followed by a loud thud.
Well, it's not that you're being attacked. I was reading it. It's the things that you're saying, dude. Like, you're purposely taunting people with the comments you're making. Stop doing that, and people won't say certain things, okay? It's you know what you're doing. That's all I'm saying.
Presumably, this audio was captured by a neighbor's ring cam or door cam or surveillance camera. And we know that
Now that barking, if you can hear that, hold on. That sounds like, I don't know how to explain it. Just let me play it back real quick.
Captured by a neighbor's ring cam or door cam or surveillance camera. And
now, to me, that barking sounds like an irritated dog. Maybe for the yelling, screaming, stomping, slamming, whatever it was. That's again just my opinion. But wait, what? Calling someone who's ASD socially inept is pretty gross. I don't care. Who said that? Is that what you said? Did I miss that?
I think she's going back and forth with Walt Harris.
You don't support murderers. Oh, okay. Nobody in here else does either, Walt. And you know that. You don't need to be here. It's that simple. If you don't like what's said or talked about, you don't need to be here. So, which tells me you're purposely coming in here trying to taunt people with the statements that you're making. Brian Koberger hasn't been proven to be a murderer, so nobody in here is supporting a murderer. That's all there is to it. And how do you know him? You don't know if he's a social misfit. You could be a social misfit. Based on some of the statements that you've made in here, people could say the same thing about you, but people don't. So that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't make statements like that unless you know for a fact what you're talking about. That's all I'm saying to you.
And we know that the neighbor off to the left of the King Road house, if you're looking out from the house, had such a surveillance system set up. If you see on this overhead view, the red circle is where the King Road house used to stand before it was knocked down, and it faced outward towards Queen Road. To the left of it, you can see 1112 and that little white staircase. That's the view that you're seeing from the Dateline surveillance camera that captures the car. And you can also see that it points out towards King Road, clearly on the opposite side of the house from the home where the 4 students were murdered. It's possible that the same camera that caught the white car driving up King Road and taking a right on Queen Road was the camera that captured the audio clear behind the house next door where those 4 students lived. The audio of the faint whimper, the loud thud, and the dog barking. And then Maddie and Kaylee were found together, as has been reported before, stabbed to death in the same bed on the 3rd floor. 3 days later, November 16th, 9:16 a.m., Brian Kohberger Googles University of Idaho murders. That same day, police held their first press conference. And then 2 days later, November 18th, 12:16 a.m., Dateline reports that Brian Kohberger was watching a specific video on YouTube. The thumbnail of that video says, "The Perfect Killing Machine, Ted Bundy, Serial Killer, Unsolved No More." Dateline says for 6 weeks between the murder.
Once again, that absolutely, more than likely, is for his schooling. Anything he would look up about him, I would venture to say, is for his schooling, for what he's going to school for. And again, these are, of course, my opinion, but it makes sense to me. That's all.
And his arrest. Kohberger watched even more YouTube videos about the murders on King Road, almost appearing as though he was collecting coverage. And here's where things.
So, Eddie, let me ask you a question. If you were in college for any form of law enforcement, criminology, for any of that kind of stuff, and there was a murder in the town 9 miles from you, very close to you, would you be online looking it up?
Yeah, and this is what I've been saying. Add to that he was out driving that night.
Right.
Who knows what he was doing? I just continue to think about his purpose. What explains these 23 trips at night? But that's another conversation. It kind of gets us off into the left field, into the weeds.
Either way, yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, think of how interested we all were and how far away we live. We have no proximity to that place whatsoever, and we were all in at that time.
Absolutely. And how many other people do you think, if they were to look it up, went and looked that up online as well in that area? Probably a very high percentage. Okay, so that's just ridiculous. And we're not even criminology students.
Right. His criminology department, it would have been all the buzz.
100%. 100%. They would all be looking it up. They all probably did, but they're pointing out just one person. It's amazing.
No,
really?
Yeah, before you begin, last thought on that is, and remember, we weren't getting any information. Remember John Webb with KHQ? He asked the question, why has it been so long? It's almost been 4 days. How come there hasn't been any information on this until today?
Right.
So, of course, people are going to look and see what is out there to see on this case, because there was no answers. There was no information. The Moscow Police Department was silent.
Right. Absolutely. You are absolutely right, sir. Absolutely right. Good point, Bobby. Very good point. Bobby said, the question I can't get over is why on the 911 call there was no other mention of the other roommates that weren't answering their calls or responding to their texts. Good point, Bobby. Very good point. Cap says, you ever watch a good documentary and start Googling it? Every time I do, Cap. Every time. And then Tara said, did your DNA turn up in the house, though? No. And I'm not 100% sure that his did either. I'll just be honest with you at this point.
Really made my skin crawl.
Welcome back. The eyes of the nation are on the Idaho quadruple murders.
And over the next...
Now this, this is probably the most ridiculous thing I've seen put out on this now at this point. And shame on you, Ashley. That's all I'm going to say is shame on you. This is so ridiculous.
6 weeks records show photos and videos and news updates about the King Road murders were viewed or saved.
Apparently, my own.
His DNA isn't on the sheath. At this point, I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore, Tara. I don't. I'm being honest with you. I believed at one point that it was. And then I found out that with all the other bullshit that's gone on with this case, and I'm just using common sense at this point, and the fact that they sent a swab off to Othram and not the sheath, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just supposed to say okay and trust it like a lot of the rest of the people have. I can't do that at this point because of everything else they presented to us. Now, if everything would have been on the up and up, everything would have been done the right way, there wouldn't be all this stupid shit that's going on, then I probably would have agreed with you and said, yeah, you're right. That's my question. Anymore? I don't know anymore. I don't.
If it was his DNA, then why the PSYOP?
100%. Great question. Why all the lies? Why all the bullshit? If they had his DNA clean, clear, and cut on that sheath, why all this other stuff that's happened then? That's the question right there. Because they wouldn't need anything else. Think about that. They wouldn't need all this other bullshit to do this. They wouldn't have to run the propaganda the way that they've ran on a daily basis with this. It's there. It's here. That's all there is to it. But they did. They lied many, many times. They twisted shit. They turned things. They flipped shit. They hid shit. Why? If the DNA is on that sheet, why did you do that? That's why I don't know anymore. That's my question.
Coverage of this case made a cameo appearance. I'm not sure if Dateline is saying absolutely that one of the files that Brian Koberger was watching was me and my coverage, but I have often wondered, as we're on the lookout for a killer who is unknown until he or she is known, is that killer watching television to try to stay one step ahead? Is that killer watching television because they obsess over their own handiwork? But God forbid the thought that Brian Koberger might have been watching my work on an even semi-regular basis before his capture. It makes me terrified. It makes me terrified because if he is the killer, what else would he have fantasized about? Who else would he have fantasized about?
Oh, Ashley, I'm so sorry and I'm so embarrassed for you. You're so full of yourself that you think that, oh my God, this is so ridiculous, you guys. This is the worst thing I've heard through this whole thing, truly.
She's a victim.
Yeah, I'm sure. Have a good night, Zelda. Have a great night, hon. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, by the way, I just want to share this with everybody. Remind everyone from the sealed hearing, the transcript.
Right. That's been put out
on page. This was February 21st.
Uh-huh.
a sealed transcript from the hearing, the Frank's hearing on
Oh, yeah.
January 23rd and 24th. So on page 16, she's asking a question of Detective Payne. Is it your understanding that the FBI's work said that it was Brian Kohlberger's DNA on the sheath?
Mhm.
Answer, that is not my understanding. What is your understanding? My understanding is that the FBI concluded that Brian Kohlberger was a possible source of DNA that we should look into. They did not, to my knowledge, at any point say Brian Kohlberger's DNA is on the knife sheath. That was never conveyed to me.
That's pretty interesting.
That is interesting. And they're not going to use the IGG. So what was their purpose for going to Pennsylvania and trying to get trash? How are they going to explain that?
Good point. Very good point. Other than that they had to put a good show on to make it look like they needed to swat the guy. But yeah.
The IGG from the sheath is why they went to Pennsylvania. But
Absolutely.
Sometimes I'm just lost too.
No, I'm beyond lost with that one. What are we talking about over here with weak DNA? And that's, you guys stop being so, there's no need to argue about things. You can talk, okay, without getting upset with each other. But
so what in the PCA, in other words, ask yourself that, what are they going to use in the PCA? The PCA was used for probable cause for these warrants. So
yeah.
What is the connection? What portion of the PCA are they going to even be able to use?
In my opinion, there's nothing to use at this point. Eddie and Bill himself said it's irrelevant at this point. They used it as a tool to get to him. That's, in my opinion, that's what this was. They had to put it in documents as to what they did, and they got him. They're done. That's why it's no good anymore. Not to mention that it's all full of shit. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting though to see how if that's approached, and if it's how there's gonna be explained, I should say.
I don't think this has ever been done this way before. This has
never seen anything like this, Eddie, in my life, ever. I don't think any of us have. Even down to this part of this right here, what we're reviewing right now, I've never seen this happen before, ever. This goes beyond a level of ridiculousness of any case I've ever seen in my life, ever. And I'm 50 years old, folks. Never, and I don't think we'll ever see this like this again, ever. And if we do, God help us. That's all I'm saying. It's wild.
And then Dateline showed a collage of several YouTube videos from my network, News Nation, and the Law and Crime Network, and a number of other true crime channels on YouTube. NBC never said how many videos Brian Kohlberger reportedly watched, but what they showed on the screen looked like someone flipping through a deck of cards, except if the cards were all different videos about the murders on King Road. You will probably remember in the early hours of December 30th, police raided the Kohlberger home. And then new information, again from NBC, at 11:53 p.m. on December 29th, just hours before his arrest. He listened apparently to a slowed down version of a Britney Spears song. The lyrics saying, quote, "He is a killer just for fun, fun, fun. He's got no conscience. He's got none, none, none."
He is a killer just for fun, fun, fun. He's got no conscience. He got none, none, none.
When he was arrested, he was wearing a black hoodie, rubber gloves, and handling a plastic bag in the middle of the night. My colleague at News Nation, Brian Enton, was the first and only person on the scene before the sun came up, literally within hours of all of this happening. And he showed us the smashed glass and the broken front door where the SWAT team had to force their way into the family home. Freelance writer Howard Bloom
Let me correct her. They didn't have to do that. They chose to do that. Okay. That wasn't something that they had to do. They chose to do that wholeheartedly.
reported Koberger's parents were zip-tied. And once Brian himself was in the back of the police patrol car, he allegedly told the officer, quote, "Maybe we should get a cup of coffee after it's over." That according to NBC. If you have not yet seen this Dateline special report, run, don't walk, and make sure you watch it. Keith Morrison lays everything out, and the case just keeps getting darker. If this is just the beginning of the evidence that prosecutors are sitting on, my God, buckle up.
Everything, none of that's evidence. That all came from Dateline. Every bit of that came from Dateline. So how much of that can you believe is true? Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, she's suggesting it's going to get darker. Well, it wasn't even dark to begin with. None of that even means anything.
Nothing at all. All of that is pretty much absolutely normal stuff. Okay. So all this is, once again, you guys, is how far they've gone to make this guy look like the monster that they need him to be for this all to work out.
Speaking of the gloves that he was wearing, she mentioned that, right?
Right.
Just a reminder,
he was OCD.
This March 17th, 25, defendant's response to the state's motion in limine regarding neuropsychological and psychiatric evidence on page 7.
Yep.
It says, give me a moment. The state has continued to claim that Mr. Koberger was wearing gloves on the night of his arrest and placing trash in baggies. The state asserts this demonstrates that he had consciousness of guilt and was trying to either hide his DNA or engage in the cleaning of his car. This is highly prejudicial and misleading. Mr. Koberger frequently wears gloves to avoid germs on surfaces. He was not cleaning his car on the night of his arrest. He was awake at night, as typical for him, and he was cleaning his bathroom.
How about that? Imagine that. Jeez. That's not abnormal at all.
So what did she say again? He was wearing gloves?
Yeah. And doing something with a plastic baggie.
Wow.
Hang on a minute. Can somebody fix Mikey, please? Jesus Christ. You fixed him? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Eddie. Anything else?
No. I just I have a word for, what Walt Harris is doing. That's called being a gadfly.
I know. Now, he's not just differing. He's taunting, and that's okay because he's gone.
Yeah, it's purposeful. I mean, it's you can tell it's insincere. He doesn't really believe any of the stuff he's saying. It's just to instigate.
Yeah, he just likes to. That's what he does. So it's all good.
It's not that demeaning of a term. It's not, gadfly is not
No.
the end of the world if you're called that. You're just purposefully being troublemaker.
Yep, 100%, and that's what it's all about. Could somebody unhide Mike, please? I hit the wrong thing. I was trying to scan, click
A
something.
nuisance.
Oh yeah,
Just argumentative with everything.
purposely.
Yeah.
Is Mikey back in here yet? You have to what? Why? Where is he? What happened? Oh shit. What the hell? See, Walt? Damn it, bro. No reason for any of that stuff. Slow down, chat. Hold on. Damn it. All right, here we go. Now where's he at? Right there. Sorry, Mikey. I didn't mean to do that. All right, you're good. Anyway. No, you weren't blocked, Tonka. Everything's good in here now. Yeah. Did somebody hit Tonka by accident too, Mike, by chance or something? I see him in here. Right there. No, you're good, Tonka. Don't worry about it. You didn't do anything wrong. There's no issues with anybody. Walt was just taunting people for whatever reason. No idea why. We're good. Anyway. So, oops, sorry, let me move that. So all of these things, you guys, the whole point with this tonight, like I said, was to point out how ridiculous, first for I guess lack of better terms, but it goes beyond that, is why I'm saying that. It's insanely ridiculous how far they're going and have gone to prove what they think they need to prove to the world about this guy. Like I said, if they were sure, if they knew that this was him, if that, everything they have is that serious, then why are they doing all this stuff? You see what I'm saying? Mikey's right here. Mikey, type something in the chat, buddy. He's right here. Anyway.
Diego, and everyone is aware of this. The media has a way of putting something out there on repeat. It's not the media themselves that drive that. There is something behind that which initiates that, and they have a way of getting it out there on repeat. The government has and does create a problem or a situation or a dilemma, and a way of funding it too. They create this narrative and they fund the mainstream media through however they do it. And the mainstream media tells the story over and over that we hear to back it up. It's happened before. We won't go into when on this channel, but it's a psyop. That is what's happening here. For whatever reason, they have to convict this guy. Early on, I didn't even see this going to trial because there's no way. I said, without more substantial evidence than this, you would make a mockery of yourself. You don't bring a case like this to trial. This is not the way a prosecutor conducts his case. You'd want a strong, airtight case. So it's kind of I've come to realize that they are going to trial with this, and this is why they have to convict him ahead of time. They still don't have a case. I don't know how they're going to do it without looking silly, but I think daily the media will just take whatever happened in the courtroom. Not everybody's going to be able to watch it, and they will spin and tell you a different story than what really happened in the courtroom. I believe that's going to be partly what's going on from day to day in this case. But I don't know why they have to convict him, but they're not going to begin and initiate such an effort as this unless they're able to see it through. Now, hopefully the defense has a way, and they have some cards up their sleeve. I don't know. but this whole thing is, they got this thing lock, stock, and barrel. Everyone's on board with this.
Yeah, definitely. This is it definitely, in the beginning, people were talking about psyop, this and that and everything else. And honest to God, I was like, nah, come on. Like, why would we see something like that happen? And I'll be honest with you. That's all I see at this point now. It really isn't. What my biggest thing with this entire thing now at this point is, I want to know what's being covered up and why. That's my only question now, truly. What is so important and so detrimental that you had to do that?
Something is being covered up.
100%. And if that's obvious, but what is it that is so, well, first off, I think it has some relation to the murders themselves. So what was it? What is it? I don't, and I agree. There's somebody in there just said, we'll probably never know. I agree. I don't think we will.
Yeah, they'll never give that up.
Nope. It'll never be told. Now, if it is found out somehow, that'd be amazing. And it would blow up. It would blow up everything, in my opinion. But I don't think it'll happen. And we may be able to figure it out down the road, maybe at some point, if other things fall out of place or fall apart per se at some point. But yeah, I'm real. I think some people have some ideals to it, Eddie, like what it could be. Maybe it will come out at some point. Maybe somebody will come forward and say, "Hey, this is what really happened." Or
I agree. Yep. There's some theories out there that are probably pretty close.
Yeah, it might. Somebody might step forward at some point, maybe not right away, but some point and say, "Hey, so this is the deal," and show some proof of it. Who knows? That'd be amazing. But
To
right
me,
here,
there's.
What'd you say?
I kind of stepped over you. I can hold the thought if you
No,
want.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
To me, there has to be something to do with Brent Kopacka. Those just cannot be two strange coincidences in such proximity of space and time.
It does seem like there's got to be some form of a relation there. I agree. Welcome, Cap. Good to see you tonight, brother.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
How you guys doing?
Hey, Captain.
Good. Good to have you here, bud.
I don't have much time left on this phone, but I figure I'll hang out a little bit. I just got the new phone is supposed to come in tomorrow. I got new routing system and Wi-Fi in the house. So I got the 16 Pro coming tomorrow. So hopefully, it's supposed to hold a lot of battery life. Should work better.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
No worries. You sound good on that right now. So.
Yeah, I have to shut off the stream. I have the big TV, and then I use the phone to chat. Is what I do. So I have the app, YouTube app. That's how I do it. But
yeah, I completely understand.
I don't get a lot of the notifications that you're going to be on. So I get the ones through Discord and stuff. So sometimes I'm a little late and stuff coming in, but. Hopefully the new phone will work good with the new Wi-Fi and everything. We'll set it up tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the Koberger thing a little bit because it's kind of burning me out. It gives me a headache after a while, And I see both really great points on both sides. I mean, Eddie does a fantastic job with the notes and everything. He'll go back to he'll be like page 17, number 101.5. You know what I mean? Like Eddie's very good. I got a lot of respect for Eddie. But there's really nothing done I've seen is really illegal. Making the Google searches, right?
Mm.
And then
Not at all. Not at all.
and then you got a car running around. Okay, it's a white. It could be an Elantra, it could be a Honda, whatever that car may be. It most likely is an Elantra, but it doesn't mean anything because there's no license plate. You can't read the license plate. You can't see occupant or occupants in the car, right?
Nope.
So what does that mean? You know what I mean? There's nothing there. Making Google searches and
None of it exists. It's
none of it
nothing.
makes sense to me. The only thing there that I see so far is the knife sheath with that one touch DNA on it, and then
That
they're fighting that. But you know, I think Ann Taylor, she's been fighting this. She's been fighting the death penalty before the conviction, which I'm not too happy about because it makes it look more guilty to me. Like, why would you fight a conviction when it's not convicted yet and your client is innocent? But I don't know how they are responding and everything. But I think if she requested the judge for an MRI, a brain MRI scan, I think would be a great idea because, and I'll tell you the reason why. That MRI scan, if it shows any abnormalities in the brain, that can also be used against death penalty.
Yes,
If you want to fight that, right?
it can. That's a fact. I've read that too. That's true.
I mean, look at if you know the Aaron Hernandez case,
Uh-huh.
and then they did the autopsy and found out his brain was like the worst CTE they ever saw.
Yeah, well, there's been more than just him. They get that concussory stuff, and it causes them to act completely out of mind. So yeah.
Yeah, it puts, and then you have you also have that guy. You remember the guy, the Texas Tower guy, Charlie? Oh my God, what was his name? Tillman or something? Charlie something?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The Texas Tower shooter.
Yeah, who was that, Eddie?
I'll go look it up.
I
that
know
was-
what scenario you mean.
That's
Charlie,
quite a few
Whitman?
years
Whitman?
ago.
It was like before Columbine. It was like one of the first before Columbine. It was at Texas College and the Texas Tower. But I'll tell you something really weird with that case. What he did. He was an ex-Marine as well. He was
Charles Whitman.
ex-military. Yeah, he
Yep.
he actually went to that tower to get that. You get that above shot or whatever snipers or military people would call it. I'm not a military person. I couldn't tell you. But he actually left a note that said, "There's something wrong with me. I want you to do an autopsy on me and check my brain." They found a tumor on the brain, putting pressure onto something that was making him off. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, you're right.
if you do find it couldn't be. He could have some CTE. He could have something like this, and then you can maybe at least get him off the death penalty if that's what you're looking to do. You know what I mean? And the MRI, they could do it what's called because I was a government contractor, they could always add stuff to everything, and they call it a demens, an addendum or something like that, and they add more money to what they need to get done. Kind of like as an emergency to the town, county, whatever it may be, court system. And she should ask for a brain scan and say, look, he's got an abnormality here. This is what causes this. This is why he can't. It might help. You know what I mean? Might help on both sides. Whether you believe guilt or innocence, it might help on both sides. But from everything that I've heard so far, nothing. The Google searches, the driving around, the this, the that, the pool party thing, it means nothing.
Nothing. Nothing at no, absolutely nothing.
Even ordering a K-bar and the balaclava the mask, right? Yeah, my phone's already trying to kill me here.
I got
This
you.
old,
I
the
got
old. I got an old 7. I'm getting a 16, so hopefully it'll work out. But
That's gonna be a hell of an upgrade for you. Yeah, right.
yeah, yeah. I hope so. It might take me a while to get everything set up a little bit on it, but whatever. But yeah, was it? Do you guys know if that Amazon, that knife was purchased in Pennsylvania, and then he flew back to Pullman? He flew to Pullman.
Well, based on what the information that's been put out is that it was purchased 8 months before or 10 months, 8 or 10 before he moved to Pullman. Okay, and
Right.
then that he had it then, and then he drove to Pullman to live there. So
So he bought it first, and then late months later he drove to Pullman.
yeah,
That's why he had the car there. Okay.
yep,
No, because I'm just saying, like, how do you get something of that? Even like, how they test your luggage at the airport.
yeah,
Say,
yeah,
what
yeah.
the hell you got a knife like that for? Well, I'm going on a hunting trip, and here's my
Right,
paperwork
right.
for
No,
it.
no,
You know
no.
what I mean? Like, that's
And
what.
there again is another good reason to own the knife too. If you're moving across the country per se, Cap, and who knows what it would have been used for, and it very well could have, even if he did buy it, which we've not seen proof of yet. They're saying that there was it's in receipt wise, okay, but he could have bought it just to take with him across the country, where he's going to be living on his own by himself in a place he doesn't know. I mean,
Sure, he could have bought it just for extra protection or whatever. He didn't know what he was getting into, but
right,
like the balaclava and stuff doesn't mean nothing. It means
and
absolutely nothing.
that's
And this
something.
stuff is bought, and the K-bar was purchased 8 months before, and then
The balaclava was 10 months before, and he's a jogger, and he's jogging in the winter months. That's to keep you warm. It's normal to buy that shit,
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the K-bar too, because the balaclava means nothing to me because he's in PA. My uncle lived in that. My uncle and aunt used to live in that Mountain Lake Estates. They lived in the same neighborhood he did.
Right.
He owned another acre, but he had a property in another property down the shore in New Jersey, and a property. So he was able. They didn't stay in the same place too long, but he had a house with addition. He had it on there's acre lots. There's like half-acre lots, and you can buy, and then in that development type thing. And to get in and out of there is a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? It's like they want your ID, they want this. I'm like, I'm here to see my uncle. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I can't believe this guy. And I asked my uncle. I called him and I said, "Do you know this guy? Do you know this family?" He goes, "No, I don't." They're on big acre lots. So they're on acres, and then they sell half acres and whatever you want to build a house on, or they already have house available for you.
Right.
But
Right.
it's a community kind of thing, and you have to go through a security to get there. So.
Yeah.
But I everything surrounding this whole thing, and there's no evidence.
No.
There's nothing. Everything is legal. I wouldn't
Everything.
even call it evidence. I would just call it making searches, doing this, and then especially, as being a true crime buff. I mean, I've searched Zodiac stuff and JFK
Yeah.
stuff, and I watch the documentaries and this and that. Does that make me a bad person because I'm interested in it? There's no evidence that's not illegal to do that. The car, the car. There's no plate. There's no picture of occupants. As so far as of what we've seen so far, that's come out, but there's nothing there except for that sheath that's there with that DNA on it. So either there's something everybody's missing, there's something that's going to come out in a trial, if there is a trial, because I think something really off is going to happen right before this trial. I think it may be end of June or July. I think he's either going to can his attorneys, or I think that he's going to make a plea deal or do something, because nothing is working, because they want to put him on death row right away. So I think that something is going to happen odd off the bat. It's just like a sense or kind of like a theory of mine that, he might just say, you know what, I'm canning my attorneys. I want all new attorneys. And if you get new attorneys, what's going to happen is new attorneys did not agree to knock down that crime scene. So if you knock down that crime scene and then your evidence, say there's a 50 by 50 inch thing of spooled blood in the floor, and they cut out a 10 by 10 piece and they test it, right, and it goes into court for evidence. Say a new attorneys ask for, they want it retested, and it more of a portion of it,
Mm-hmm.
Things like that could happen. I don't know,
Yeah, definitely.
But
Definitely.
if you think about the attorneys, and then asking for new attorneys, and then new attorneys asking, I want to see the crime scene. Well, we knocked it down. I think that was a big mistake, Dago. I think it was
100%. 100%. I agree with you. Absolutely. That was one of the biggest mistakes, in my opinion, that they made within this case, because, again, they've come out with this stupid 3D model, and it's 2 rooms in the entire house. Now, I'm sorry. I understand that the murders happened within the realm of 2 rooms, but the entire house involves the crime scene. Okay. You need the whole house to be able to understand coming into the house, leaving the house, where Dylan could have been, where Bethany was, the sound that could have been heard, the sounds, I'm sorry, that could have been heard in the differential in everywhere where everybody was. And they only have 2 rooms. That's not the house. That's not the way this all went down. And I think that was a huge mistake.
Well,
Huge.
I'll tell you what, Dago. You got these tight hallway. It looks like the 3D animations that I've watched and stuff like that. The hallways look very tight. The doors open, tighten up. And then the house is. You could tell just by them knocking it down, like how bad that house is actually built and the additions are.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, that would never go in New Jersey, man. I mean, they would be the fire department wouldn't even allow that. I mean, that's like a fire hazard, that house.
Big time. It was bad. I mean, like I said, the original house is the portion that's down below, and it was just that was the house. It was a very smaller level house like that. They added that weird ass addition onto it, and when they did it, it's on a hill. It's not level. I don't think it was leveled the right way when they built this. They just threw it together like a kit or something, and the walls, the seams in the walls between the floors and the walls there were cracks and there was separation, and you could see when they tore it down that there was how thin the drywall was. The insulation was garbage. It was just a shithole house. It really was.
And the pipes run on the outside of the house.
Yeah.
People are trying to figure out, like, hey, are those real steel? No, they're not going to be steel pipes on the outside, but maybe they were. That's blood, dripping down the foundation, right?
Right.
So, I'm like, that house, like what you're saying now about the way the floors are and all that. Walking on those steps and walking on this, what kind of noise do you hear? When you open that door partway, can someone 6 foot, 180 pounds walk past that door when it's halfway open?
Right.
I
got you.
You know what I mean? It's so like.
And there was no carpet anywhere in the house. It was all wood and faux wood and stuff like that. So think about what carpeting does to a house. It's a deafener. Okay. It takes sound out that you're not going to hear. So if you have none of that in there, you're going to hear everything clearly, especially somebody running up and down the stairs, Cap, right by your bedroom.
Yeah. That's what I want to see. Like, if the jurors wanted to go in there, they could go up and down the stairs. You could hear the noises, the creaks in the stairs, the creaks on the floors. Yep. And you could know, like, listen, this person's saying there's no sound. I didn't hear this, or I didn't hear that. That's bullshit, because this house is built so weak. You could hear everything. You know what I mean? So
100%. Yes.
It's like it's like if you go take it, you say, oh, my wife, I want to buy this new car, but I'm not sure. I need to take it for a ride. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like it's something like that. I don't know if I'm making any sense, and
Oh yeah, no, you
I
make
think,
absolute sense to me.
and then that MRI. I'm talking about the other thing too with the MRI brain scan. I think that should be. I think that would be a great thing to bring into court. Either way, it would show if it shows abnormalities or anything like that. Brain scan, and it would probably only cost them. I'm sure some agency would do it for $600. You know what I mean? Like it's not a big deal because millions have been spent on this already. Millions. And there's going to be a lot of I'm sure Taylor and a bunch of them are going to be writing books, and judges are going to be writing books, and they're be getting big upfront money and stuff like that. I'm sure of it, but I just got this feeling too about him, saying, hey, I want new attorneys, and new attorneys want to see crime scene, and I'm thinking something like that could happen. Or, you want to get out of this, you just have to confess and plea. But confessing and plea force them just not to get death penalty. You want to say where's the murder weapon at? You know what I mean? Like bring you to something that nobody knows. You know what I mean? Like if it's a confession, But like we talked on other cases, right? So, that's my thoughts. Hope I didn't offend too many people.
No, why would you offend anybody, dude? Everything you said is on point, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I'm not going totally left. I'm not going totally right on this. I'm open to an open trial. I'm open to justice, and I want to see the right person get the right justice for the right case.
That's it right there. That's all I want. I just want truth. I want truth to be told, and I want the real deal to be presented. I want the real person to be. This is death penalty. This isn't like you're going to jail for 20 years and you're getting out. No, this is your life. It's gone. When you're found guilty on this, they're going to put you in front of, I can't remember if it's 8 or 10 guys that are going to shoot you and you're dead. That's the end of your life. Okay. In that sense, you have to be right that this is the right person. And with everything that we've been presented, there's too many questions to be able to go, well, yeah, okay, just let it go. He's the one that did it. Move on. No. If this was black and white, cut and dry, right and wrong, none of us would be sitting here having this conversation. But it's not.
No. I mean, look at Stephen Stearns. It's like you got all this stuff on your phone. We're like, listen, you're a scumbag. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, sir.
And I'm sorry to say that, but that's just the way I feel.
No, that's cut and dry, black and white. We know what he did. He knows what he did, and he deserves to be in front of that firing squad because there's no doubt about what happened there. This is a different animal.
This is a different animal, but there's evidence that comes out that's like, I mean, that comes out that's just like yes, like you can't get Luigi over there right in front of a camera shooting thing. What is you know what I mean? And then you can't get the Steins case, Dago. You know what I mean? Like it's all on video. I mean, the whole thing.
Exactly. There's no doubt.
So what are you gonna say? Like he's like a guy like that. We're not telling him like he didn't do it. You know what I mean? We're all like, yeah, he did it. It's right on video. That's kind of what we want. That's kind of something we want to see in this case. Doesn't have to be the video, but something like, bam. You know what I mean? Like,
and they haven't done that. They haven't done that yet, Cap. That's my problem. I wish. I've been saying this for Eddie, to almost 3 years going on now. I've been saying, just show us something. Show us something that makes you say why you believe that this man did this. And they haven't been able to do it. And that's why all of us at this point have said,
nothing in the car. No pictures of plates, license plates. I mean,
nothing.
Big deal. So if there's a plate missing from the front, so what? Half the people in New Jersey, half the people in my neighborhood have Teslas and Audis and Mercedes and shit, right?
Right.
Half of them don't put the plate on the front. They don't want to drill the holes in the bumper. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And New Jersey's a 2-plate. And New Jersey's rough on that stuff. Like, New Jersey's a police state. I mean, every other person is a freaking cop. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Dago, I just want
it,
to add real quick to what you
Yeah.
just said.
so
Right.
It has gotten worse. You had mentioned, just show us something.
Yeah.
And, everyone at that time was saying, the PCA contains, and then they would throw out throw out an estimate, 60%, 80%
Yeah. Right.
of the case. They don't have to show the whole case in the PCA, which is true. But, that's their work product and they're signing their name to it. They would want it to look good and to be
Agreed.
good enough for probable cause.
Yep.
But I'm getting off point. My point is since that time, it has even gotten worse. Not only have they not shown us anything significant, the stuff that we are learning is ridiculous.
And yeah, and to add to that, Eddie, the stuff that they did show us that made us think about it now has been tossed. It doesn't exist anymore. It's all garbage now. So with that being said, that leaves nothing there, absolutely nothing. So yeah, you're right. It's definitely gotten worse. It has gotten way worse.
yeah, I don't
And
know. This thing is it's like it's nothing ever seen before.
no. And I feel like, guys, we're 12 days into the month of May. Okay. So we have the rest of this month, June and July. And I'm telling you, I'm just going to say, this is my, I'm just going to say that, I just completely, what is the word when you, my prediction is that by the time we get to the trial, this is going to be so upside down, twisted inside out, way even worse than we are right now, that nobody's going to know for heads from tails, guys. And it's going to be a disaster. It's already there, but it's going to be 10 times worse than what it is now.
You could
Because
even have a mistrial. I mean, we don't even know, and then Dago so late in the show, right? So
yeah,
late in this whole thing. I don't want to call a show. It's not right.
I know what you mean.
But so late in this case, this stuff's starting to come out.
Yep.
And then we're trying to put these pieces together. And I think you guys, are stand up enough, like Eddie and Dago and the sergeant and a bunch of Jesse, a bunch of other people come on here. But I think if you got something, bam, right in your face, I think you guys are would say, yeah, he did it. You know what I mean?
Of course. We've been all waiting to see
are
that.
like, all right, we gotta do justice, and then that's this death penalty thing. I've always been on the fence with it, and certain people really do deserve it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
And I can understand like death penalty, like self-defense, like someone attacks you, attack them, and then you wind up taking their life or whatever. But if you
Yeah.
or him, like a soldier, whatever, right? But
Yep.
when you have cases like this, you want the right person, right justice, and everything, because this thing, I've watched the documentaries and everything, how they've been, and they did the first one in 15 years in North Carolina. I don't know if you remember a few months ago with the firing squad, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So they did that, and they explained it the way they tie you to this chair, and then they run sandbags all around you, all
Yeah.
black, and then you're strapped, and then it's just so horrible to actually to tie someone down and take their life. Like, you're not fighting for your life against another man or whatever, but to do it like that. I mean, I've always been on the fence with it, and there's some cases, I think deserve it. But some of these
Sure.
people, some of these people took 30, 40, 50 lives. God knows how many, even more. There's even more, 100. How
Yeah.
are you going to bring all those people back? I mean, wouldn't it be better to just lock them up forever and then learn from them? But
Yeah.
I'm on the fence with it, Dago. I'm on the fence, and I'm
I get
hoping.
it.
I respect anyone's opinion on it, and I just
That's it too. And it's I'm the same way. I respect your opinion. If you think he did this, then that's fine. Okay. I may not understand why you think that. I may not see or feel why you think that, but I do respect that just as much as I expect people to respect my thoughts on it, because I cannot process
yeah. I'll tell you what, Dago. I was 100% guilty for a long time. I watched this ever from day one, right?
yeah.
T-Rev, everybody, and then you came on. I started watching you. It's almost 3 years, 2.5 years I've been on your show.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I
been a
just
while.
wasn't in the chat until I put the app on.
Yeah, right. I got you.
But and then I'll tell you, Eddie made me look at a different perspective, because the way he pulls the notes and
Yes.
numbers, and then he comes up in a way that, when he talks about certain things, it makes me think. And he actually brought my level down on guilt, a lot of guilt on
He's a smart guy, and that's what I like having him
yeah.
around, because he keeps
Oh.
you in the know with what you're seeing, what you're hearing. He reminds you of things. He's probably the best note taker I've ever seen in my life. But that's why we can talk about something right now, and he can refer back to something that happened on November 14th because of his
Yeah.
notes. You know what I'm saying? And it like, oh yeah, there it is. And it reminds you of that. And you can see the reality of what's happening from it. So yes, I agree with you.
And Dago, like you come up with some great ideas and some great stuff, and then
I
a lot of
appreciate
the
that.
lot of the mods too. I mean, some of them are just like bam, 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 like SRB, bam, bam.
Yeah.
And then I miss Brian Paula. I hope she comes back. I hope she's okay.
Yeah,
me and her we're kind of buddies, but on the chat, but we
no,
always talk
Paula's
back and
awesome.
forth.
She just had a lot going on with her grandkids right now, but yeah, she's awesome too. I miss Paula.
Yeah, and Doodlebug and all of them. Everyone will just come out. Yeah, you have such great people here, and then they come in and even
We try.
and those cold cases that you come up with that I've never even heard of before, to sit down and watch them, I'm like, wow, and then talk about them. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of cold
everyone
cases.
can't just
I love
come in
them.
for Kohlberger. You come in for some of that as well. You know what I mean? Because it makes you think. Other cases actually, you watch these old cases going all the way back years ago, decades ago, and then you can see similarities between
Big
like
time.
these new cases.
Yes.
And
A
then
lot of times.
Idaho 4 is almost 3 years old now. It's almost a 3-year-old case.
Absolutely.
And you got the rearranging of the furniture and stuff, and then you had the girl. Someone broke into her place. It might have not. Maybe it wasn't Goldberg. Maybe someone else broke in there, and someone broke into the girl with the panty raid house. Remember?
Yeah, right around the corner. Yeah.
And what
Yep.
happened was she came home and her furniture was all rearranged.
That's what she said. Yeah, that was
Yeah, and then the Asian
strange.
girl that liked Kohlberger is like, really not for me, or whatever the deal is. Whatever happened there, but and then her stuff was rearranged. But it couldn't have been him. Could have been somebody else that did both of them. You know what I mean? Like, so I can't blame him. I don't know if it was him or not.
Well,
But
everything.
that actually goes back to Manson, because Charles Manson's, the way he trained his followers,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but it
Sure.
was a lot of drugs and sex, that he
Oh,
got
of
them
course.
to follow,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so
You're good.
hope I didn't hurt your show, but what happened was he would train them to go into houses and they would rearrange furniture, and he called it creep and crawl. So before they started, and I hate to to go off track, okay? But with the other case, but what they do is rearrange furniture in the people's houses, rearrange stuff, take stuff out of the fridge, do stuff like that. And he called it creep and crawl. And he says, I want you to practice before they started doing the La Bianca and the Tate and all that events. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So it's like all these little things that are like, are they a frame job? Is it, but nothing illegal there except for his DNA being on so far DNA on the knife snap.
The only
So
thing they have, the only thing, and like I said,
the
I even
footprint, nothing, fingerprints,
no,
nothing in the
nope,
car, nothing.
no DNA, no nothing, and that's why a lot of us started questioning this when all that came out to be, okay, and really started questioning it hard, and then all these other things started happening, and at some point you got to go, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. And the last straw for me, I think a lot of people will see when I kind of fell off the fence at some point was when I realized, after hearing all the other stuff that built up to it, that they sent off a swab instead of the actual sheath to be tested. They sent a swab. When I heard that, I was just done at that point, Cap, because with corrupted situations and all the corruption that has basically started kind of flowing out of this like water, okay, I don't trust that they could have swabbed anything. They could have swabbed anything, okay, with a Q-tip and sent it off. Excuse me, without seeing that. Okay, that's when I finally said it, and that's why I even questioned if his DNA was even on that thing. So there's my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the other thing too is that you got that university here. That's $1 billion a year economy.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have this pretty much a sorority house, party house, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could call it that,
That's basically what it was.
It's there, and then this happens, and then all of a sudden the crime scene's being knocked down. Then all of a sudden these rules, and then this gag order, and this gag order, in my opinion, this is all allegedly. I'm talking allegedly and everything. Nothing's been done with that property as far as I know, as of now.
They were supposed to turn that into a memorial garden, and they haven't even. All they've done is throw grass seed down. That's all they've done.
Yeah, so that's kind of upsetting,
It is.
It something should be done. Don't matter who did it, because it's about the victims. It's not about who did it. It's about the victims.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter who did the crime. You know what I mean? So it's
And I'll be honest with you, they wanted that house gone.
That's
before these murders even happened. They wanted that house gone because at some point, I can almost bet money, Cap. If you watch this, even after the trial is said and gone, at some point, there's going to be apartments. There's going to be apartments on that whole corner of property there. I bet
that's
you.
what I said that from day one. I said, you know what? The university is going to build some little thing by the school because they got like $500,000 just in donations already, and then they put up a couple little plaques, and then they're supposed to build this into a garden stuff. I said, no, there's going to wind up being a money-making income on that property.
100%, yes.
Yeah, that's my opinion. That's my thought. It's allegedly, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's going to happen, but
you are absolutely right.
That's my thought.
In my opinion, that, like I said, we have to the left of that property, there's a bunch of apartments, to the rear of it, to the right of it, all around.
Yeah.
So that whole corner there, because that other little house that's to the right of it, that's going to be gone soon too. And that whole corner is going to turn into apartments. I promise you that. I can almost guarantee it.
Apartments, yeah. You're telling me about the other houses being touched. Yeah, you're on point, man. You're on point.
I absolutely expect that. Go ahead,
Captain, I got a question for you. As long as you're up here, you kind of represent someone who might be on the fence, so to speak. My question would be, if it was established, proven that the car, this white sedan, is proven to be that green Elantra, what does that suggest? What does it do to this case? What is your mindset at that point?
Oh, it's finished.
Yeah.
If that's proven to be agree. Are you talking to me? I'm sorry if I'm interrupting.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
I'm on the,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I don't want to interrupt Dago or somebody, but
No,
I
Go ahead.
no. If that it determines another vehicle and it's green and it's whatever, no, that's it. It's done. It's done.
yeah,
There's nothing there. There's no evidence there. There's no even okay. So we have this Elantra flying around and it flies by, and then I understand, and then they're tracking this car from WSU because you know the thing had the cameras, right, Eddie? WSU, the apartment building where he stayed at, and they had cameras plus traffic cameras plus private cameras that were all passed by, and then took the Royal spot, or so they say, past that Wanalaka Park, whatever it was, and then it came here. So they're casting his phone when it was shut off. They're casting every camera with that same car on it, but it doesn't mean anything because we don't know. There's no picture of him in the car. There's no picture of a license plate on the car. They're just saying, well, the car was from Pennsylvania, so it had no front plate on it. But people from Idaho, I'm not, certain they all put their front plate on. A lot of them just paid a ticket. I mean, most people in Jersey aren't really putting front plates on their cars, especially the new ones. Even the Tesla, which means there's no air or nothing. I got a ton of them around here plugged in. I mean, they're not drilling. They don't want to drill the holes in the bumper, so they're not putting the front plates on. So that means nothing to me. That's like, and it's not illegal. And then he said he was driving around. That's not really illegal. Him Googling, it's not illegal. Unless he's, pedophile or something like that, Googling stuff like that. That's all legal. But he's doing regular stuff, and he's in criminal justice teacher, going PhD program. So him Googling Ted Bundy, Ed Kemper, whoever else he Googled, BTK, wrote to him, that's all normal for what he's doing for a living.
Yeah, right.
It's not illegal. I mean, most of us check these cases and stuff. We watch Mindhunters. We Googled them. We watch YouTube videos with interviews with them, the real ones and stuff like that, So does that make us bad? We're just curious. That's all, I don't. That's just my.
Well, that's what I always said.
There's
Sorry, that's what
a
I always
lot of-
said. If they ever checked any of our Google searches, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Yeah, might as well lock me up now.
Right. That's my point.
But I just, I said, but it's nothing that, I'm searching these cases because I'm interested in them. I watch a documentary, I Google it. Then I Google the person that's in it. Then I got so much JFK stuff I've done since the 80s. I did it remember Dago, when they had the microfiche and you would put the articles in and run it at the library? Yep. Yeah.
That's where I started at too.
Yeah, I started in the 80s with that. I was so fascinated with that. I was working and then going to school and everything, so I had very little time for it. But I would go to the cabinet and I want to see some. I'm looking for 1963 newspapers and I'm looking for articles on, But that's how long I've been doing this. The DB Coopers and then Zodiac. I only live 15 minutes from John List, where John List. You know who John List is?
I know the name. I can't place it right now, but I know the name.
Dago,
New Jersey.
I have to hop down. My phone is starting to tell me.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Eddie. We're about done
anyway. It's been too long. Okay,
yeah,
but thank you for having me up as always, and thank you everybody in chat for being here with us tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Captain, for answering my question. I appreciate that. Y'all have a nice evening.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. We'll see you soon.
You too, Eddie. Tthank you so much.
Right. See you guys later.
Yeah.
All right, bud.
Yeah, I got to go. My phone's dying too. So
That's all right. Yeah,
gotta go.
we're done, guys. I was just good conversation. That's all. So I appreciate your input, your thoughts, your feelings, and everything, Cap. I
Yeah.
appreciate speaking on this. The way you feel. I appreciate it a lot. It's good to hear.
Well, thanks for
when-
having me. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, I love hearing people's thoughts on what, if it differs from mine in some ways, or if they're how you look at things the way that I do. You know what I mean? So yeah, I like hearing that. So absolutely, Cap. You're always welcome to come up here at any time. Good phone, bad phone, whatever it is. Hopefully your new phone will be better for you. And hopefully we'll get to have you up here more often.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I will once I get that all set up.
absolutely,
Couple days.
sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the trip. I want to thank Mike too. The last 24 that did the trivia that worked.
Yeah.
You and Mike worked on that trivia thing.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
So that was very good.
Yeah, hopefully that's going to be
I
a
enjoyed
more
that.
regular thing
So,
here.
I know
like
you guys
the
had some
trivia too.
glitches and some problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
was
worked
fun.
that
That
out.
was fun.
I
That's
I
good.
like that stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most
The
definitely.
paranormal, that one. So it's a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like
Agreed.
So.
I'm glad you enjoy
Thanks
it.
for having
I really
me
am.
up. I gotta run because this phone is dead. And
all right, sir. Well, absolutely. Have a great night.
Everyone
Thank you
have
for
a good
joining
night.
us.
Thank you.
You too. All right. Yeah, it sounds like his phone died pretty much right there. And that is gonna do it for tonight, folks. We went over by about 20 minutes from where I wanted to be with this, but that's okay. It's okay. We had a great talk, I think. Great conversation. Talked about all that stuff that, in my opinion, is absolutely ridiculous. And like Cap said, he's on the fence with this still. Okay. Come on with this focus shit. There we go. And the whole point in tonight's show is to point out how extremely far they will go to make their point, to prove what they have to prove to make this happen for them, in my opinion. And there's going to be more of this, guys. There's going to be more of this, in my opinion. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to get worse. There's nothing we can do about it but watch it and laugh at it and talk about how ridiculous it is, in my opinion, of course. So expect it to get, like I said, expect the next 4 months to be probably pure chaos, I would say, and just get worse. So I appreciate everybody that comes in, that supports these conversations, these shows. Okay, thank you, London Storm. Thank you for joining us. I absolutely agree that Hitler should have to, in my opinion, I believe that he needs to address what Dateline just did and address how they received the info that they received, why they talked about it, what they did with it. I think that should be addressed, but I don't see him doing it. That's my opinion again. Have a good night, DKM. Thank you for being here, but I definitely don't see him doing it. I don't. I think it's just going to go by the wayside like nothing and everything else has. And that, to me, will tell me right then and there. If he doesn't make a statement about that, if it doesn't get brought up, then that's just going to tell me it's all bad. It's all bad, guys. I mean, we already know to an extent, but it's just it's so wrong. It's all so wrong, in my opinion. So, just saying. With that being said, we will be back for more of this at some point, guys. We will. There'll be more documents. There'll be more stuff to talk about, and we will talk about it. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys in here. The Blue Crew, thank you all so very much for doing what you do. This community is an amazing community, and I appreciate all your input, your feelings, your thoughts, your opinions on everything. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your night. Miss Lily Rose, congratulations. Welcome to the sauce, or back to the sauce. It's great to have you here. Welcome, Greg. Good to see you tonight, too. The deletion weapon and the DNA blood soak cooling is. I have an idea. Thompson Jr. Oh, okay. Got you, sir. Thank you for your info or your input. I appreciate it. Again, congratulations, Lily. Welcome to the sauce. It's great to have you here. And everybody else, anybody that supported the channel with any form of donation, guys, thank you so very much for that. I really appreciate that, no matter what it was. We don't ever expect it, but we appreciate you so much for that. That being said, guys, don't forget to love yourselves and love each other. Don't change nothing. You guys are the beautiful people, and I will see you guys very soon. Have a great one, folks. Bye-bye.
Typing at the speed of light, hunting down the shadows, bringing wrongs to right, digging deep in the data, facts sharp as a knife. With every single story, he's fighting for a life. A voice for the voiceless, he won't stay quiet. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Streaming loud and clear, cracking cases, open hearts filled with fear. His channel's a beacon in a world gone wrong. He guides us through the chaos, a soldier so strong. The clicks and the likes, they follow his lead. With every new case, he plants a new seed. Sharing their stories, giving hope where it fades. Daniel's a warrior through the trials he waits. In a world of silence, he shouts out their names. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. From the shadows you rise, is streaming loud and clear. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim story, he pulls at the strings. A hero in the darkness, hear the truth he brings. Truth out, answering the call. For every soul forgotten, he's here to stand tall. Daniel the genuine, will always give it his all. Daniel's got the fire igniting the fight. True crime revelation shining through the night. With every victim